Hola, minasan! Welcome back for another round of lore research. There we go. How y'all doing? Are you doing good? I'm doing good. And yeah, it's the monthly research. It's monthly research. Here on YouTube and Twitch and Kick. Try multi-stream. Tri-stream. I don't know. I'm still trying to work that out. Oh my gosh. I hope y'all had a great week. Hope y'all excited for the weekend. Here we go. Let's see. There we go. I got everything in sight. Just a quick reminder. I do have super chats and super stuff going on here on the YouTube live stream. They call it super stickers and super thanks and super this and super that. So don't hesitate to jump in on it if you're interested. So it's all there. There we go. All right. Woo. Yeah, we got a busy night ahead. Well, and I gotta try and make it quick. I'm gonna be reading some research notes from the comments section. Big thanks to everybody who contributed to the research. And we got Magic the Gathering research tonight, Babylon 5 research, and more Dragon Ball Z. Research this go around. So gonna have some good fun. Gonna have a nice good time. So I hope y'all are ready. So for those of you on YouTube, just want to make this quick. Just to make it quick, I finally finished rewriting. Well, not just so much rewriting, editing book 1 of Trucker no Bouken. For those of you who might not know, I stopped doing anime research and invoked Priority 1 back in February, so that way I can rewrite Trucker no Bouken as my main focus. So book 1 is done in terms of English. The next step is now translating it back into Japanese, retranslating it to Japanese, because I still have I still gotta do that. So that's gonna be a tough one. So yeah, everything's been going on pretty good, so it was pretty good. I'm glad to have gotten book 1 done. And so now next is book 2, which is chapters 7 through 12 on SYOSETSU. I gotta rewrite that and re-edit that once I'm done with book 1. So it's pretty exciting. I'm very excited for it. So I just thought I'd let you all know. Eventually I will get anime. I'll be back on anime, like I said. Like I said, I have Magilumiate done. I'm almost done with Gundam G-Quax. I'm on the final episode of season. I don't know if it's season 1. I'm not sure if there's going to be another season, but I'm on the I got one more episode of Gundam G-Quax. I had started from Country Old Bumpkin to Master Swordsman, and I'm still on City Hunter. City Hunter is a very, very long series. So as soon as I can get my schedule rejiggered, redone, I'm hoping I can start posting all those videos up here on the channel, so y'all can have some fun with the anime research. So on the interim, I chose to do lore research on anime, just to hold over, you know what I mean? Because that's not the anime that I was talking about when I said I was going to do anime research. But I decided to make it part of the research either way. If you like the anime, just subscribe, comment, like. You know what I'm saying? Go check them out. Go check out the anime videos. So, yeah. Just for those of you who weren't around for the Famicom Detective Club playthrough, it's still up. You can catch it, here on the YouTube. And I would like to do more, as I said. So subscribe, comment, like both the videos. If you want to see me do more of that, and I do intend to do like JRPGs, story centric JRPGs. You know what I'm saying? And share my thoughts and such. Um, it was pretty good, and I'm willing to do more later down the line. Gotta try to be careful. I was posting up shorts to YouTube Shorts, but I feared they may have been interfering with the algorithms. That's why I haven't been posting up this week YouTube Shorts. I feared that they're messing up the algorithms. You know, because I was noticing weird things happening with the main videos that I was highlighting. So I decided to hold back on that. I might do. I probably might do once a week. I wouldn't mind doing that as long as it's not on the same day that I'm doing the post. And I think that's why the algorithms were getting messed up. So I'll see. I'll see about that. You know, I'll see about that. So the YouTube Shorts are not gonna go away. I just got to figure out a better way to apply it into the channel without it disrupting the algorithms. I can't do it every day like I know like I normally would. I think that's disruptive. And finally, let's see, what was the last thing that I had in mind? No, I think that was it. I think that was it. No, I had something in mind, and now I can't remember for some reason. Shoot, what did I have in mind? Oh yeah. Yeah, members only. Right. I do want to let everyone on YouTube know, all of you on YouTube, if you're watching this. Yeah, I am gonna do member only videos, but it's going to be of my own personal intellectual properties. Is not. I just want to make sure that's very clear. Like these research videos that I'm doing of other YouTubers' videos is not going behind a paywall. I had said that a long time ago here on YouTube, and I want to make sure that's categorically clear since now that I'm a YouTube partner, you know, I have access to these types of features. The answer is no. I am not going to put any of this stuff behind a members only paywall type of thing, or a members only to everyone view type of thing. Not these research videos, but I want to put my own intellectual property, my own works behind members paywall. You know, my creation, and I do have intentions of doing that. And if you wanna check it out, you'll have to be a member to see my works, my own works, not other people's works. You know. So that's what I want to do with the members only to help out the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm just a little twitchy right now because I have not been sleeping consistently for the past couple of weeks because of Trucker No Bouken. So that's why I'm a little fidgety right now because I'm kind of trying to stave off sleep. Last weekend, what I did was, and I keep saying, it's because I'm not sleeping very well. I got a weird tick going here. And what happened was that I spent 9 hours doing Famicom Detective Club until 6 a.m., around 6 a.m., 7 a.m. So I started like at 8 p.m., ended around between 6 and 7 p.m., and had very little sleep. And then on Saturday night, I did. I worked on Trucker No Bouken from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning for 2 consecutive nights, Saturday and Sunday. My sleep was, and I'm pretty much sleep deprived. It caught up with me on Monday, but I'm still, I'm still. And tomorrow I got a business trip to do, which I gotta wake up early. I was debating if I wanted to do this at 8 or 10. The usual time, but I decided to just go with the usual time. So that's why I want to try and speed this up, and that's why try to speed through here and get all the stuff down. So yeah, that's the whole situation as it is. I don't really have anything much to say. I think I got everything. So yeah, let's get going. Let's get started today. Let's see here. All right, we're gonna start off, of course, with the research notes. Big thanks to all of you who are commenting in the videos. Last time I went a little overboard and did the too many. I reduced it down to just 5. Try to get at least 1 for each topic in hand that I had posted up for the month of June. So this is for the month of June. At least 1, since the topics were Warhammer, Mech, BattleTech, Mech Warrior, and Skibbity Toilet. There we go. I picked at least 1 for each of the 3 topics. And don't hesitate if you're a fan of anime, Dragon Ball, and you got some info, saying some research info. Don't hesitate to jump in on the anime. Whenever I post up an anime lore research video, you know what I'm saying? Because that can help out too. It's all part of the the research and everything. Also. Since I got a chance here, don't I? This was because this happened over this month of June. I just want to make sure I make this very clear live to all of you. Thank you. Thank you for getting me up to 500 subscribers, and I was able to get into the program. I know I did a video before earlier this month, but I just wanted to make sure that's very clear that I am really thankful to all the fans and viewers out there who got me to 500 subscribers, and I really would like to get to 1,000. I really would like to get to 1,000. Really, your research notes have been very helpful. Believe me. I know that many of you don't want to hear that kind of stuff. I'm sure many of you don't want to hear it and see videos about it. But, I really felt that was important. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all are putting in this effort to write walls of text on the comments, giving me all this research and everything. And I want to make sure you'll know that, that all this that you're doing, is not for nothing. That there is something, there's more behind it and everything. You understand what I'm saying? Because I just want to make you all feel like appreciated, like you're part of something. You're doing something here. Yeah, it's still a long way to go, but it's a wonderful journey, and I'm just happy that y'all wanted to be a part of this. Well, be a part of this journey. And I gotta get some sleep so I can stop this tick. And for those of you who are new, yeah, you're welcome to join in on this journey too. Gosh. All right. Okay, everybody, let's go and read some of these select research notes from the comments section, from my viewers, my fans. Thank you all for for all of this. Let's start off with from Skibbity Toilet Multiverse Season 10 research. Zogreal said Sinister basically was like trapped in the tower by Chief Clockman, who was dead. In Multiverse Timeline, one chief stopped large Clockman from dying by using Sinister's powers on him, but then Sinister wakes up, but Chief Clockman stops him. This will be crucial. So that's something that I'll have to keep in mind when we get to, now that I'm going into Season 13, and to keep an eye out on when Sinister starts making his moves. Over on BattleTech MechWarrior Research, this one about the Mad Cat, Warlock 363 says, so regarding the numbers of things, there are construction rules that everything uses. In a book called Tech Manual, in short, you are limited by how much tonnage you have for the weapon systems and how much critical space slots you have in a given location. Each weapon system uses up some amount of both. The other issue is heat generated per attack. That is what the heat sinks are for. The mech has some built in the engine already, usually 10. Extra heat sinks may be added above that. Double heat sinks soak 2 heat each, but take up more space. Also, some mechs, especially earlier eras, have intentionally subpar builds due to lore and flavor. since BattleTech has been around 40 years, which was really amazing to find out. I thought it was much longer than that. The optimal builds are figured out, so usually people don't allow custom cheese builds in most pickup games. So I'm gonna want to, much like same with Warhammer, I want to also look up the rules of the games and research that, see how the mechanics work and everything, so that way I can better understand this stuff, these games, these two games, and help me understand when I cover videos with Warhammer and Battletech Mech Warrior, that I have a good understanding of what is being said. Sometimes they mix game mechanics into their lore research, into their lore videos, and so I gotta make sure that I can understand what is being said when they apply that to the lore. SS Kazuga from What is a Clan Omni Mech Research, he said, field repairs are common in BattleTech. Remember that these are weapons of war, and the most important thing to these machines is keeping downtime to an absolute minimum. Most dropships also carry spare parts and equipment that will allow for repairs while on the go, and mobile field bases often have repair supplies while on the march. Remember, it takes days to weeks to travel, even in systems. BattleTech Mech Warrior lore does its best to hammer the point that logistics is the most important thing to discuss in a war. Reason 15 is why, as to why the clans lost. The poor clans. Man, they're so fun. They're very fun to research. How you say? Yeah, it does. It does. When it comes to space travel, it does take a long time doing those jumps, doing a lot of those jumps. So it does make sense to keep in mind of the travel time, especially with accuracy involved. If you are playing a tabletop campaign, you might be able to side grade a battle mech, depending on the GM. Most of the time, these are going to be pre-engineered modifications designed by the manufacturing company with detailed instructions to do so. The CN9A Centurion can be refitted to be a CN9AL, replacing the AC-10 in the right arm with a large and small laser. When you get to Solaris 7, and Gladiator Fights is where the creative battle mech tech starts, as many stables or teams have engineers of their own to modify and enhance the mech for matches. For instance, the Yenlo Wang is a Centurion variant that was modified for Solaris Fights and features wrist-mounted claws and an AC-20 for close-range gladiator fighting. In Mech Warrior Online 5, you are kind of stuck with what you have, but you can still customize within the limits of the game. Plus, there's an abundance of battle mechs in these games, so it's not a massive deal to be limited in such a way. Mech Warrior Online 5 are available on Steam, and there's a BattleTech turn-based strategy as well as on Steam. So I will be keeping an eye on that one. I'll keep an eye on that to see, see if I could download it and maybe do a playthrough. Do a little through. And Vickril 65 in the What is a Clan Omni Mech research said, a mech only has one engine. A standard engine fits completely in the center torso of a mech, its most armored location. Torsos have a center, left, and right portion. Each location on a mech vehicle battle armor has an amount of equipment slots. Equipment takes up a varying number of slots. Clan X1 engines and Inosphere light engines take up 2 slots in each side torso. If 3 engine slots are destroyed, a mech is disabled. In an Inosphere, X1 engine takes up 3 slots in each side torso, so losing a side torso kills the mech. XX1 engines take up even more slots, trading equipment slots for weight savings. So yeah, thanks for helping me out on that one, because I was kind of wondering about the multiple engines thing in that research. The Omni mechs are really awesome, primarily because of the customizable stuff. And if I to get into BattleTech, I would definitely want to play the Omni mechs just for that whole customization thing. What kind of customized Omni mech would I come up with? Who knows? Finally, in the Warhammer research, Necron's literally the strongest faction research video. Vickril65 says, have you looked at the Warhammer game setting Blood Bowl? Did not know such a thing existed. I'm going to want to look at that. I'm trying to learn it from the video game, which isn't going so well. The opening story I find hilarious. Seems like a huge Warhammer Fantasy battle is going on. The factions fight to the point of exhaustion. For some reason, the exhausted warriors put aside their leaders' differences and explore a hole that opened in the battlefield, at least until they get some rest. Some ancient artifacts are found, and a new form of settling disputes is decided upon. So I'll have to see about looking up Blood Bowl and see if there's any lore behind that, any expanded lore with Warhammer, or if it's got its own lore, and add to that. I mean, I did take a look at the Warhammer Fantasy, and looking forward to seeing more of that. And would like to see, check out the Blood Bowl one. So yeah, there we go. Those were the research notes from the comments section. Again, thank you all, fans and viewers who posted on the comments. Be sure to do that. Keep doing so while I'm when I post up a research video. It really helps everything out, and it helps everybody who's watching along as well, and giving them insights. It's a fantastic endeavor here. So be sure to comment, like, subscribe, follow, and hit the notification button. And thank you all for helping me out. All right. Let's get a ship here. All right. Let's start with some Magic the Gathering lore. It's research time. All right. Let's begin with Magic the Gathering lore. All right. This is so. This is the Librarians. Had visited them before. Returning to the Librarians, they covering Slivers, the pinnacle of evolution, Magic the Gathering lore. Taking a little sidestep for now from the Phyrexians. There's a whole lot, and I'm still trying to figure out what was next in the order. So I wanted to take a quick break from that and cover everyone's favorite and usually easily targeted in commander battles, creatures, the Slivers. I love the Slivers. The Slivers, I was first introduced to them when I first entered into Magic back in 1997, right around the time Weatherlight happened. Let's see, Stronghold was just 6th edition was right around the corner, came in on 5th edition, and since it was my first time purchasing Magic cards, Slivers were the first ones I was introduced to, and I really fell in love with them because of that. Like, I stuck around for the Slivers. The first deck I was ever the first time I was taught how to do deck building, it was with Slivers, the Muscle Sliver and the Horn Sliver. And from that point, I just didn't it's like any opportunity I could to get a Sliver, I would grab them. They're so awesome. And so what is it with their backstory? I'm not sure what it is, but we're going to find out what it is. The Librarians, you'll find the links down in the description below to the video. Slivers, pinnacle of evolution, Magic the Gathering lore. Comment, like, subscribe, follow, and hit the notification button. And let us begin the research. Ooh, I'm dropping things around here.
This video is sponsored by Dragon Shield, your destination for the best sleeves, deck boxes, and accessories in the multiverse. Purchases through the affiliate link below help the channel grow and improve. An unnatural hush descends upon the wildlands. No birdsongs call, no beasts roam. The air itself is heavy, stagnant. Silence is pierced by low clicks and barely audible skittering. Shadows flash under the canopy. The noise grows louder and more frequent. Skittering intensifies to a steady rumble, then a massive roar as the ground itself gives way to countless.
Ooh, I want that card.
They emerge from forest, cave, sea, and sky, in innumerable shapes or sizes. They are as resilient as the Phyrexians, as malleable as the mutants of Ikoria, as relentless as the Eldrazi. Of one mind and will, they descend upon their prey, exploiting weakness through adaptive ingenuity. Largely feared and deeply mysterious,
I'm not a big fan of the humanoid
species
looking
in
ones.
tune with and molded by their environment. Their name curdles blood and weakens bone. They are the Slivers.
Versatility. That's not a lie.
Few races in the multiverse are as adaptable, as resilient as the Sliver. Masters of transformation and evolution, they quickly meld into their environment and even shape it to their whims. Exceedingly dangerous, Slivers were native to an unknown plane before being introduced to Wrath and later Dominaria by the Evenkar Volrath, who experimented on and used them as biological weapons. Slivers possess mesomorphic abilities, which allows them to alter their body composition and morphology quickly, a versatility that is further exemplified by their representation in colorless and all 5 colors of mana. They embrace the surging mana ley lines around them, channeling the power to advance unique adaptations. Our study of Slivers will first focus on their shared characteristics, abilities that set them apart from other species. We'll then focus on the differences between Sliver hive minds and their respective broods. Unlike many other races, the plane on which Slivers dwell has an impact on their evolution, but not as significantly as the nature of their brood's hive mind. As such, many differing features can be traced through swarm lineages and bloodlines. Alright, let's dive in.
Characteristics.
Slivers first appeared in Magic during the Tempest block when they were introduced to Phyrexia's artificial staging ground of Wrath in the years leading up to Invasion. Volrath traveled to the Sliver's home plane where he discovered this awe-inspiring and highly adaptable species. As a fellow shapeshifter, he was fascinated by the Sliver's ability to change their features and body chemistry as their environment necessitated. Since their introduction, Slivers have been revisited in several sets throughout history. Of the over 100 cards printed, Slivers are roughly evenly distributed between all 5 colors of mana, highlighting the race's natural versatility, using their surroundings as fuel for their continued evolution. The hallmark feature of Slivers is their innate interconnectedness through a shared
amazing
hive
game
mind,
mechanic,
which distinguishes them from other species and multiplies their adaptive versatility. A single sliver, though far from harmless, doesn't represent the collective might of the hive. Alone, it lacks purpose, drive, or motivation, as well as any sense of self-preservation. It's a social creature that relies on communication with the swarm for survival. Cut from its hive mind, it would wither to dust. But with support of nearby slivers and with direction from the central mind, an individual sliver's potential is fully realized. Like feelers or antennae, the information gathered by a sliver is instantly shared to the rest of the swarm. This allows them to coordinate their efforts, easily transfer their adaptive mutations to others nearby, and present a united front against threats. We can see this in their card abilities to grant boons to all slivers, and Hannah of the Skyship Weatherlight makes this observation in the flavortext of Mind Whip Sliver. They share more than their thoughts. We must shatter their link quickly.
Good luck with that.
What's known by one sliver is known by all. Each swarm or brood has at its center a hive mind. The hive mind acts as a brain, a central nervous system for the brood, and typically manifests itself as a supremely powerful sliver in tune with all 5 colors of mana. Their unique aura is felt and sought by others, craving structure and purpose. The slivers of the hive align themselves to this central lord whose will becomes their own. They act as the brain of the collective, sending orders to be performed to ensure survival of the brood. The central hive mind is represented in cards like Sliver Queen and Sliver Overlord. Another feature unique to slivers is their immensely malleable physicality and adaptive evolution. Slivers are mesomorphic creatures that, like molten clay, can quickly change their genetic and physical attributes. Not quite as fluid as changelings or shapeshifters, a sliver can nevertheless surprise adversaries with quick adaptations. As a sponge gathers moisture, so too does a sliver soak up its environment, the natural hazards, the threats of predators, the response of prey. All are incorporated and at times literally digested, as a sliver's body undergoes physiological change to adapt to ever-shifting environs. Hard, chitinous plates form a crude armor over slivers that must endure physical assaults. Sharp, bony blades extend from joints to slice through ranks of foes. Membranous wings unfold from the back of a sliver that must navigate windy mountain peaks. This sudden adaptation is made all the more dangerous by the innate connection of the
I got the
hive
Cloud
mind,
Strutter.
which instantly extends a sliver's learned evolution to nearby members of the swarm. This makes slivers the pinnacle of versatility, adapting at a moment to what is needed. Master chameleons that shape themselves to their environment.
Trilobite.
Mechanically, this is represented in a sliver card's ability to extend learned adaptations to others, strengthening all slivers of the hive. Although sliver bodies are highly adaptable, there are features that are shared across the swarm. Most are physically represented with sinuous, almost snake-like bodies, from which extend a single taloned arm and a powerful tail. Their head is narrow and pointed, often covered in bony armor and lacking in such features as eyes or mouth. This is most clearly represented in cards like Armor Sliver, Fury Sliver, and Horned Sliver. Those slivers found on the plane of Chandalar have evolved features more humanoid, with arms, legs, and developed facial features, though they remain largely alien in appearance. To fully understand the differences among slivers, it's important to segregate not only by plane but also by hive mind, as the central nervous system and leader of each sliver brood is what directs their form and function, ultimately making the most impact on their skills.
That's insane.
We begin with the first sliver and its swarm.
Yo, let me tell you something. The designs of the slivers are fantastic. One of the most, I would say of all the art in Magic the Gathering, the slivers are. If I were to do a tier system, I would say S tier. Because I don't want to do it like in a list, because people will probably say like, this one has better art, that one has better art. In terms of like creatures design, I would definitely put slivers on S tier. They're very unique, very iconic, most definitely iconic. I don't know why they did humanoid slivers. That kind of robs it of the iconography of what makes the slivers so unique. They got that nice snake-like look of their bodies with talons attached to it. It's very recognizable in Magic the Gathering, and you could just spot it a mile away the second you see it. You don't even have to see the name. The second you see that that familiar shape of the sliver, you already know what you're getting into and what you're up against. Very easy target. And to point out, from also a design standpoint, there's not really a lot of slivers compared to all the other races when you think about it. They've only been in a few sets, and there's been what set number are they up to? 40 now in Magic the Gathering. Edge of Eternity is going to be number 40, and they've only ever been prominent in like 5 sets, and yet there was enough content of slivers to really pull off some of the most scariest decks imaginable, if done well right, especially to really create whether it's a commander or any format. The slivers are definitely, as noted, very versatile, not just in their thematics and story and lore telling, but even in their mechanisms. You could still throw a sliver into like a pair. Like, let me put it like this: if you're playing a green deck, you could definitely throw in some slivers, and it would have zero impact. If it's all about creature rush, aggro, like full on aggro, you could throw in slivers, like 3 slivers, and you won't skip a beat on that whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? Like, it won't disrupt your deck or anything. That's how versatile these slivers are. And let me tell you something. Fantastic design. That's why they're a fan favorite, a big time fan favorite, and really one that so many players fear, especially in Commander. Like, you got a bullseye in your head if you play that in Commander. That's why I play with Caramel Biologist as my commander, so nobody will know that I'm really playing slivers unless they read the commander card. Next chapter, the first sliver. I have that card.
Though it wasn't the first hive mind represented in-game, the name given to the first sliver suggests that this is the great progenitor of the entire race, the history of which has been shrouded in mystery for centuries. As the primordial hive mind, it was critical, that the first sliver propagate with tenacity and haste to develop a swarm legion capable of defending the exposed leader and extending the hive mind's influence. This is highlighted in the illustration of its card, which evokes a sense of proliferation, as well as the card's cascade mechanic, allowing the first sliver to quickly amass generations of drone defenders in an instant. Though not explicitly stated, I'll assume most of the slivers printed in Modern Horizons 1 are members of the first sliver's brood. Though present in all 5 colors of mana, most share strong affiliation towards red and white, which is mirrored in their aggressive solidarity in protecting their hive mind and brood in a rigid, almost martial structure. We hear this in the flavor text of First Sliver's Chosen, which states, "The most tenacious members of the hive instinctually guard the first sliver," and in Lava Belly Sliver, "Warm enough to incubate eggs or incinerate those who would eat them." Little else is known about the ancestral hive mind and its potentially ancient progeny. Next,
the first sliver. He's got a long one on the Sliver Queen. So regarding the first sliver, I got the card for the first time ever, and I gotta say, the first sliver is so broken. I personally feel it's broken, despite the fact that it's all 5 colors, Uborg. The thing is that you're giving Cascade to all your slivers, and you're just dropping slivers fast, And I did start it off as my commander, but unfortunately, it was too much of a read, too much of a tell. But the first sliver, in terms of the lore, is pretty frightening because it's got its own. Because despite the hive-mindedness, it does have its generals, and its unique specialized guard to protect it, as well as probably the other generals as well. And as you saw the card, the first Sliver's Legion, and that's actually pretty interesting for a hive mind race of creatures to have a structured hierarchy, not unlike, of course, the ants. The ants got the soldiers that protect and so on, but unlike the ants, though, they do actually evolve to the environment that they are actually a part of. The slivers can get very scary with that first one, and with the first sliver. And when done right, the first sliver, you'll just find yourself overwhelmed insanely. So here's the Sliver Queen and Wrath and Dominaria.
Hive minds of Dominaria and Wrath. Firstly, the Sliver Queen. This sliver and her brood were stolen away from their native plane by the Phyrexian Evenkar Volrath and transported to the artificial plane of Wrath to further his obsessive experimentation. Volrath saw within the slivers a dangerous biological weapon that, if understood, could further his and Phyrexia's machinations. He controlled the queen and her progeny through use of the mysterious Hivestone artifact, and spent years conducting experiments on the slivers while placing the queen within the Furnace of Wrath to guard stolen artifacts of the legacy weapon. Members of this brood of slivers carry the traditional appearance of a single talon and a powerful muscled tail. The queen's progeny appear in all 5 colors of mana, and it's believed that Volrath was successful in genetically creating his own sliver lineage, which he introduced to the hive, though it's difficult to determine which are artificial. When the skyship Weatherlight journeyed to Wrath to retake the legacy, they were met by fierce resistance as slivers poured forth to guard their queen, in whose lair the artifacts were placed. The crew was successful in their mission when Karn Silver Golem approached the Sliver Queen and appealed to her nature as a hive mind and mother. We hear this in the flavor text of Victual Sliver. "We are kinfolk," explained Karn to the Sliver Queen. "Just as you need your progeny to complete you, so do I need the pieces of the legacy to make me whole." Slivers of the Overlord were born not from the earth, but from experimentation undertaken by ambitious mages within the Riptide Laboratory on Altaria. Archaeologists uncovered fossilized remains of wrathy slivers from the volcanoes of Urborg, and the Riptide Project was created to revive and understand the extinct species. The project was destined for disaster. Unaware of the sliver's vigorous adaptability, The Riptide researchers failed to prevent propagation after successfully reviving their first test subjects, and slivers quickly overtook the event,
that's what happened.
leaving slaughter in their wake. The tragic fall of the Riptide laboratory is cataloged in research notes left by deceased scientists. We hear of the slivers' escape
So
in
it's like
cards
Jurassic
Lord
Park.
Sliver. The first wave of slivers perished from the Riptide wizard's magic. The second wave shrugged off their spells like water. Blade Sliver and Essence Sliver highlight the species' quick adaptation to life on Otaria at the expense of other creatures less fit. And in Crypt Sliver, a chilling rhetoric pondered by a Riptide scientist. Death couldn't contain the slivers. What made us think we could? The swarm grew erratic without the commanding presence of a hive mind, however, and lashed out aimlessly at Otaria. Their desire to be led manifested in a fixation on the Mirari, an artifact of immense power whose pulsating aura imitated the call of a central mind. The revived slivers were irresistibly beckoned to the Mirari as its waves of energy rolled over them. Necessity and desire fueled the spontaneous creation of a new hive mind. Thus was born the Sliver Overlord. Slivers from this brood appeared in 3 5-color cycles. Commons at base power toughness 1-1, uncommon with 2-2, and rare at 3-3. Most slivers twisted by the Mirari were destroyed when a magical blast swept across Dotaria during the ascension of the false god Corona, but some yet remained. Given their hardiness, a few is all that's needed for massive broods to develop once more, and the slivers remained on Dominaria for some time.
Yeah. That was pretty a crazy thing that occurred when I was in the Tempest block, playing through the Tempest block. That the Riptide Lab, would experiment like Jurassic Park, the slivers, and doing all these experiments, and like some Jurassic Park, bringing extinct ones back to life, and without any type of hive mind link happening, whether it's through but amongst themselves or through through the first sliver or the queen, they pretty much went wild. They went crazy all over the place. And the fact that they had to wipe them out in order to prevent Otaria from getting destroyed was pretty messed up, quite honestly. The level of callousness, to create life and then just snuff it out because you couldn't get it under control, shows the level of madness that the Phyrexians, since Volrath was dealing with was part of the Phyrexians, they just knew no bounds between the Riptide Laboratory and the Phyrexians. And now Dominaria is just left with a whole species of slivers, an invasive species. I'm not sure if anyone figured out where they came from. I kind of left the game a long time ago, so I didn't. So all I knew of the slivers was that they just came from an unknown plane, and that was it. So hopefully I'll get the answer as to what their original plane is, and then start asking questions as to why they haven't visited yet. Why Magic the Gathering Wizard of the Coast haven't jumped in on that. The Sliver Legion.
Decades pass on Dominaria as the plane enters a state of temporal crisis fueled by the disregard of planeswalkers and other powerful entities whose actions devastate the fabric of reality and drain Dominaria of its mana. On waves of time and space roiled by the time spiral crisis comes a most peculiar strain of slivers. Through holes in the tapestry, they emerge from unrealized pasts or alternate futures. The Sliver Legion is the embodiment of the central nervous system and acts as hive mind for this brood of slivers. It could represent an early prototype of a hive mind lost to the ages, or perhaps a highly evolved mind from the distant future, one that's realized the benefit of splitting its intelligence across multiple bodies. Whatever its origin, the Sliver Legion is unique in that the hive mind isn't a singular entity, instead an amalgamation of several that is just now flitting with emergence of a new consciousness.
Got the Sidewinder Sliver.
We see this in the illustration of its card. The flavor text states, "Hidden within the clicking, chittering swarm is a unique mind, still young, but growing more aware as time passes. The time spiral crisis saw a gross proliferation of slivers, as they were one of the few races on Dominaria hardy enough to survive climate changes, temporal rifts, and desiccation of choked mana
Yeah,
lands.
that's true.
The flavor text of Bone Splitter Sliver highlights this. As the time streams grew more and more unstable, Dominaria's creatures struggled to adapt. The intense pressures led to many dead ends, but also to lethal new forms that appeared as suddenly as the Ashen Rains. Many interactions and observations made on these slivers are documented in the words of 3 characters which appear in several flavor texts. The first is a Banalish scout who details how difficult of an adversary the slivers are, changing their characteristics with each skirmish and becoming better equipped to overcome Banalish assaults. The second is a field researcher that highlights some of the terrible yet awe-inspiring adaptations the slivers undergo, while shaping themselves to the hostile, ever-changing environment of Dominarian crisis. The Planeswalker Frailes makes several remarks highlighting a dangerous concept, that these slivers, without an established queen or hive mind, are on the cusp of adaptation and may likely evolve into a species that can not only survive in isolation, but thrive. This is featured in the flavor text of Ghostflame Sliver. This breed is on the cusp of evolution. It burns away the markings that connect it to a queen that no longer heeds its call. It seeks a new master. Perhaps I can give it one. No mentions made of the sliver's extinction following the mending, so it can be assumed that many still roam Dominaria, searching for a hive mind strong enough to lead them.
Yeah, comes the hive, and here comes the Hive Lord. Okay, Chandalar. If that's their place of origin, I would like to see that being a set. So yeah, this is what happens when you bring an invasive species like the slivers into another plane that doesn't belong in your world or your plane. It's a great how you say what you call that type of tale? I forgot the name of that tale. Not an Aesop. Warning tale? No, not a warning tale. I forgot it. It's a cautionary tale. There we go. It's a cautionary tale. There we go. It's a cautionary tale of what happens when you take an entire species that don't belong in your ecosystem and let it unleash into your ecosystem and what it could do. The events of Time Spiral just had no effect on the slivers, and without even having a queen to focus their hive mind, it was very easy for them to adapt. They started not even adapting, but evolving beyond the need of a hive mind, which is pretty frightening when you think about that, given the nature of the slivers. Or if one of them, or if they develop the ability of, say, becoming the alpha sliver. Ooh, that would be an awesome card, Alpha Sliver. And it has the ability to control rogue slivers. Ooh, its flavor text is that it can control the rogue slivers that don't have a hive mind. It has it channels its own hive mind. Oh, that would be awesome. Like, yeah. Oh my gosh, that's a great concept. That's a great that's a great next evolutionary. I guess the Hive Lord would be that. But I still think Alpha Sliver would be awesome. The Alpha Sliver to create that. But nevertheless, Dominaria got hosed because of Allwrath and the Phyrexians and the Riptide Laboratory, the Riptide Project. That was a monumental mess. And then Time Spiral just made things even worse for everyone in Dominaria. The slivers just basically made the Dominaria their home now. Let's hear about the Hive Lord.
We next venture to the plane of Chandalar. Almost all we know of the Hive Lord and slivers of Chandalar come secondhand from the field notes of Hastrick, a Thunian scout and shapeshifter who used his abilities to enter the sliver hive on Skep and document his findings. Segments of his research can be found in the flavor text of several sliver cards. The scout makes a supposition that the Sliver Hive Lord, progenitor of the brood on Chandalar, might have arrived from another world, pulled through the ether by magic or chance. This explanation for how slivers arrived on the plane is somewhat founded, as Chandalar itself is considered rogue. moving through the multiverse in chaotic fashion and drifting alongside other planes in the blind eternities. Perhaps Chandelar drew close enough to Dominaria or the Sliver homeworld and pulled the Hive Lord through a connection between realms. Hastrick's musings are written in the flavortext of Sliver Hive Lord. This is the source, the line unbroken since the calamity that brought such monsters to our shores. Though the Hive Lord shares color identity and general physical features of other hive minds, the Sliver brood of Chandelar differs from the other lineages in many respects. First, their in-game mechanics only extend to slivers under the influence of one player rather than granting boons to all slivers on the battlefield, perhaps suggesting an altered neural network or communication apparatus within the hive mind. Second is their appearance. Slivers of Chandelar lack the characteristic sinuous bodies, muscled whip-like tails, and singular talons common amongst Dominarian slivers, instead possessing a roughly humanoid, bi- or quadrupedal physique and tendrils that emerge from the base of the skull. Their physicality suggests these slivers may be more advanced or intelligent than other lineages, a sentiment echoed in the flavortext of Steel-formed Sliver. Though the slivers may sometimes resemble us, they are not human. Anyone who fights them must remember this. The Hive Lord slivers can further be divided into different strata depending on their purpose and utility. Thrums occupy the lowest level, the drones and workers of the hive who assist in further proliferation of the brood and maintenance of their dwelling. Next are the predators, like the Groundshaker Sliver and Belligerent Sliver. Bestial in appearance, these slivers maintain an animalistic aggressiveness and are guided primarily by instinct and impulse from the hive mind. Finally, there are the primes, slivers that most closely resemble humanoids, who communicate in their own language of clicks and whirs, demonstrate higher intelligence, and perform specialized roles within the hive. They can be seen in cards like Sentinel Sliver and Thorncast Sliver. The Hive Lord and slivers of the Skep present a dangerous threat to Chandelar that, if not dealt with quickly, could consume the entire plane. There are a few slivers worth discussing independently, as their appearance, abilities, and text is suggestive of the idea that this race exists on many more planes. The Enduring Sliver calls on the determined resolve of the Abzan, desert warriors that survive in the endless sand dunes on the plane of Tarkir. This sliver's art is demonstrative of the deserts Abzan protect, and the Outlast ability it grants is the hallmark ability of the clan. The first slivers chosen and Dregscape's sliver both possess abilities that first appeared on the plane of Alara. Exalted was a mechanic of the knightly casts and angelic heralds of Bant, while Unearth appeared on several undead and creatures of nightmares that slinked through the stagnant wastes of Grixis. Finally, there is the Tempered Sliver, that appears to dwell in the border of the Mephedros and the Tangle on the metallic plane of Mirrodin. Its illustration harkens to Mirrodin's unique ecology, and the ability it grants is seen in the cycle of Slith cards, a creature native to the plane. Does the existence of these slivers prove that the race has spread across the blind eternities and colonized several more worlds? Most likely not, but it's an interesting thought experiment, as is their potential role in the future of the multiverse. Slivers are a dangerous and highly temperamental species. They represent the pinnacle of adaptive ingenuity, a force of nature that could be unleashed to devastating effect. What does the future hold for a race that has both proliferated to dizzying degrees and flirted with extinction? Will they be utilized by the heroes of Dominaria in the fight against New Phyrexia? If controlled, they could be a powerful weapon, adapting quickly to Phyrexia's machines and inoculating themselves against its contagions.
True.
Or will Phyrexia's glistening oil lay hands on the sliver genetic makeup and create a new, corrupted, and Phyrexianized sliver hive mind, adding to the relentless masses of an unstoppable New Phyrexia? Only time will tell. Thanks so much for watching and listening to a study in versatility as we scrutinize the slivers of Magic the Gathering. Now I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts on slivers. What hive mind and brood is your favorite, as well as suggestions for future videos in the comments below. And if you're a fan of lore and storytelling, consider subscribing to the channel or checking out the podcast where content's uploaded frequently. Again, a huge shout out to all of my
Patreon give Lorebrains likes and subscriptions. They're very good. definitely give the librarians subscriptions and likes. They're very good with the magic lore and other things, among other things. Let's see, wait, and yeah, the slivers are quite possibly one of the like I said, it's Magic's most iconic creatures. You know what I'm saying? They they have all the dragons and the angel and everything, but we see those creatures, elves and goblins and stuff. We see them in all fantasy. Slivers is Magic's creatures. They set them. They're completely. It's very easy to be like, well, we got the Borg and there's the Tyranids, but the Slivers, on the other hand, have a very definitely are nothing close to what they do. The only characteristic they share really is the hive mind. They're not relentless creatures in the storytelling the way like the Tyranids are, where they just go out to consume. The Slivers are not actually running around trying to consume all the planes. They're not trying to assimilate people and turn them into something. That's what the Phyrexians do, as well as the Borg. Then they're not trying to annihilate planes into nothingness like the Eldrazi are. And the Eldrazi is supposed to be like the Eldritch Abominations, the Lovecraftian horrors. So, and we've already seen Lovecraftian horrors. The Slivers in their design and their character creation definitely sets itself apart from so much in fantasy fiction and science fiction as well. It's pretty, they're pretty impressive. I get where Magic was trying to go, where Wizard of the Coast was trying to go with the writers regarding Chandalar and making them humanoid. I'm not a big fan of the humanoid design, quite honestly, because again, it takes away the iconography of the Slivers. But the fact that they did have Slivers in other areas, in other planes as well, even though we don't see like hundreds of them the way we see them on Dominaria now, as well as Wrath when they where they were being experimented on for Phyrexian technology. It at least gives us hints. Gives us like little hints here and there about the Slivers. Like if a Sliver pops up, you kind of get that nice fear that maybe there's more. There could be more, and they might not even be the same Sliver. Because remember that in each plane, every human is in each plane, but the humans are different from one another. They don't share. Well, like Earth. Okay, for example, Earth. You know what I mean? There's 8 billion of us. There's 8 billion of us, and we share the same oxygen. But imagine, if you will, if like Bloomborough doesn't have humans. They're all animals, woodland critters type of thing. And there's no humans, actual physical humans in that world. Whereas you got humans in all the other planes. You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to get at. No two humans are the same in each plane. Everyone is completely different from one another. And Wizard of the Coast went with that logic with the Slivers, which makes perfect sense. The Slivers in Chandalar are not the same as the Slivers in Dominaria, and the ones in Dominaria are not the same as the one in Mirrodin. And that really and in that sense, by them doing that, from a writing standpoint, it allows them more versatility, as the saying goes, as their creature designs are, in terms of when they want to put them out there in a specific plane, in a very specific plane, what they would look like. So in a sense, it's like, what did the Sliver looks like in Chandalar? They look humanoid. I'm not a big fan of it, but I understand from a lore perspective that it makes perfect sense to not have all the Slivers look the same. Just like all the humans are not the same. We got Japanese humans in Kamigawa. We have Indian humans in Kaladesh. We got European humans in Innistrad. as well as Dominaria. Dominaria has much more diverse because they do have not just Europe, but they also have Africa and of course Asia and other stuff like that. But you get what I'm saying, right? You know, it's just you know, they keep it flexible. So that way they could come up with more imaginative stuff. Right now they're in their hat phase. They're in their planes of hat phase. The hat planes. You know what I'm saying? We had cowboy hats, we had detective hats, horror hats, 1980s hats, 80s caps. Now we got astronaut helmets coming up with Edge of Eternities. Racing hats. Yeah, we had racing helmets with Aether Drift. So eventually they'll get out of that phase and get back to good old get back to being more focused with not being not emphasizing hats so much and actually get back to really building up the world and everything. On a final note, I would say no to revealing the Sliver's home plane. I say they should not do that. They should not in any way, shape, or form do that. Take this into consideration. We know that Eldrazi comes from the Blind Eternities. Okay, we know that they come from the Blind Eternities. The Slivers are the only race in the game we don't know where their point of origin is. We just know that Volrath went, snatched them up, and did experiments for Phyrexian projects. That's it. And as to where their point of origin is, we'll never know. And we'll never know if they've been using the Blind Eternities to slip through, or if they took advantage of Time Spiral and jump into other worlds because of it. We'll never know. And I would prefer it that way. I want the Slivers to stay mysterious in that manner. Just that they exist. They exist, and this is what they do. And they're very dangerous if left unchecked. I would prefer that they keep it that way. Slivers is definitely a very well fleshed out species in the Magic universe, in Magic storytelling, and like the Librarian said, they do have versatility. They have a lot of versatility to become many things. And do many things as we have seen, from being hunters that get provoked to having magma skin that gives them X power, or turning into mist where they phase out of existence. Where they could become any creature type. Sorry, I'm thinking of a different Sliver. And the flavor text in and of itself makes them even more frightening. For example, just look at the misformed Sliver, taking the form of a junior researcher. The first Sliver slipped out of Riptide. Once they get the scent, there is no escape. As malleable as molten steel, but as dangerous as the finished blade. These Slivers are fantastic. One of the most well made, and I really do not want to see their home plane. I really hope they don't do that. Don't do that. Leave them mysterious. You know, the Eldrazi didn't come off mysterious in the end. We all found out where they came from and who they are. But these guys, they're the only ones that are still mysterious. We don't know, other than the Beebles. We don't know where these guys came from. And I would like it kept that way, personally speaking. I don't want the reveal. If it's revealed, then it's going to be... It could be anticlimactic. It could be a nothing burger. It could be uninteresting. And I would prefer not to know. Yeah. So that's it. There we go. Thank you all. Thank you all for the magic research. Comment, like, subscribe, follow once again. And I'll see y'all on the next magic research. Okay. Next up, we got we're gonna be doing let's see here. Let's take a look around. All right. So next research. Babylon 5 lore. Babylon 5 lore. The Earth Minbari War. This was one of the most prolific world builds to Babylon 5. This is like the nexus, I guess one could say, the catalyst of what would shape out the entirety of the Babylon series, Babylon 5 series. From Max Lore, Babylon 5, the Earth Minbari War. Links in the description down below. Be sure to check that out. Give them likes, subscriptions, everything. I'll let him elaborate on the whole thing, because Babylon 5 is very, very highly complex. It's not something you can just you can explain, because there's so many webs going on and everything. But to put it succinctly, the Earth Minbari War is definitely, if not the nexus of everything that would happen in Babylon 5, it's definitely the catalyst of all the events, like the spark that lets the wick flow through towards the big bomb that would be the shadow war, the war with the shadows, we're gonna go and see what new information can come out of it, because I have seen in the beginning the movie. I have seen Babylon 5 the series. I'm trying to figure out all the little nuances, all the little things within the lore that is hidden behind the whole thing. And the Earth Minbari War is definitely one of the big ones to definitely dive into. So be sure to comment, like, subscribe, follow, and hit the notification button, and let us begin the research.
This is the President. We've lost contact with Io and must conclude that they too have fallen to an advanced force. Our military intelligence believes that the Minbari intend to bypass Mars and hit Earth directly, and the attack may come at any time.
Woo! Look at that.
Go with you all.
Before the dawn of the Third Age, before the Babylon Project, there was the beginning. The year is 2245, and the Earth Alliance, the ruling government of humanity, had just emerged from the Dilgar War victorious, fighting alongside the League of Non-Aligned Worlds. Earthdome, the name of the central administration of the Alliance, was feeling confident in its growing role in the galaxy, and had wanted to use the momentum and resulting goodwill to expand their sphere of influence further through trade and alliances with other spacefaring races. Their efforts so far had proved mostly successful, reaping great rewards for the young race. But there was one faction out there in the void that was a complete mystery to the Alliance, and that could potentially interfere with humanity's expansion into the stars. But perhaps there was a way to get the answers they sought. Londo Mollari, ambassador to the Centauri Republic, who were longtime allies in the first race that made contact with the Earth Alliance in the 2100s, was summoned to a meeting with General Robert Lefcourt of the Earth Force Chiefs of Staff to answer the burning question on the minds of everyone in Earthdome. What did he know about a race called the Minbari? Slightly taken aback by this question, Londo answered as strategically as he could, that they were one of the oldest spacefaring races, and that if you did not bother them, they would not bother you. But the general informed him that an expedition would be sent to their border to assess their threat to Earth Alliance interests. Obviously, Earthdome was fully intent on bothering the Minbari in at least some capacity. When Ambassador Mollari cautioned the general to only send one ship as to not provoke them, Lefcourt arrogantly brushed off the notion with his response of, "We took care of the Dilgar, we can take care of the Minbari," and that a mission was already being prepared. At this point, Londo was exasperated and lost his composure by stating that the general had a wonderful combination of arrogance and stupidity all in one package. Despite some further heated words between the two, Ambassador Mollari reluctantly agreed to give them the locations of known Minbari military bases, in the slimmest of hopes that Earth would avoid an armed confrontation. his parting words to Left Court being, "I only hope in your stumbling around, you do not wake the dragon." During this time, on the Minbari homeworld of Minbar, Lenon, leader of the Anlashok, was pleading his case for more support to the leaders of the Minbari people, the Grey Council. The Anlashok, translated as the Rangers in English, were a group dedicated to standing watch for the Minbari's longtime enemies, the Shadows, as their return was prophesied by Valen, the one responsible for unifying the Minbari and leading them to victory over the Shadows. However, in the 1,000 years since the Shadow War, the people of Minbar had long since stopped taking the threat of the Shadows' return seriously, and the once respected status of the Anlashok had since been looked upon with scorn and derision. The Rangers were nothing but the domain of old men clutching on to an obsolete purpose, which was what brought Lenon before the Grey Council, passionately arguing his case that the Anlashok needed more support to withstand the second return of the Shadows. His efforts, unfortunately, appeared to be futile. That was until Delenn, one of the junior members of the council, brought up the notion of sending a ship out to investigate the former Shadow homeworld of Zahadum. Despite the consternations from the others, the leader of the council, Gul Dukat, put all argument to rest by stating that they, the council, would go and find clues personally as to the Shadow's prophesied return. No one could have guessed that this would lead to perhaps the most fateful meeting between two races in known galactic history. An indeterminate amount of time later, the EAS Prometheus, a Hyperion cruiser, was in hyperspace en route to the Minbari border. Accompanying her on the expedition were 2 other Hyperions and 2 Nova-class dreadnoughts. Obviously, Londo Malari's warning about only sending 1 ship to investigate the mysterious race fell upon deaf ears.
Yep, it really did. It really did. Oh man. And the crazy thing is that is that they didn't is that even the Minbari were curious about the humans. They needed, the Rangers had to do, were trying to do something, you know what I'm saying, but to become so obsolete in their beliefs, at least according to the council, because it's been so many years since the last time the Minbari fought the Shadows, and going to Zahadum was their one measure to try and make sure that there's no activity going on. What would have happened if they would have confirmed that there was 0 activity and that there was no sense of threat from the Shadows? What would have been the Rangers' fate? Probably would have ended the whole group. From a writing standpoint, and let me tell you something, J. Michael Straczynski is freaking brilliant with this, man. The way he did this, having 2 different motivations between Minbari and Earth. Earth is looking to see the Minbari, but the Minbari is trying to make contact also the humans to figure out what's going on with the Shadows. But having dang, yo, I just had it in my head and I completely forgot. It slipped my mind what I was about to say, because basically the Minbari wanted to do a heart check on the Shadows, and they figured if I recall correctly, that the humans he really didn't mention that, because they said they wanted to meet up with the humans. The Amlashok wanted to take a look at the humans as well, not just only the Shadows, and I'm surprised he didn't mention that, because I could have sworn he had pointed out that they wanted to see meet with the humans, make contact with them, just to see if there was any connections, if I recall correctly. And Delenn, being very young and a young greenhorn, basically, followed him very easily. But that also meant taking the warrior class with them. Crap. Because I was going to try and point out the significance of having 2 different motivations and how good it is in writing to have two factions with two completely different motivations. But then when I think about it, and if I remembered correctly, it wasn't just the shadows that motivated the Minbari. It was to seek out the humans as well and scope them out a bit. That's what the expedition was supposed to be about, just like the humans. And so yeah, that kind of squashed my whole thing, didn't it? All right, let's continue on with the first contact here.
Emerging from hyperspace, the Prometheus began detecting the silhouettes of what they presumed to be Minbari ships, which they were. But these were not ordinary cruisers, as the lead ship, the Valen Thaw, carried the Grey Council on their way to Zahadum.
Okay.
The Valen Thaw had also detected a sensor echo from Alliance ships during their entry into the system, and wanting to gain more information about what was out there, they proceeded to set their scanners to maximum power and moved to intercept the unknown signals. But what they couldn't predict was that the power of their scanners would heavily interfere with the Earth Force systems on board each ship, which included the jump engines that would allow them to escape. Captain Jankowski, beginning to panic, ordered a message be broadcast that they meant no harm. However, having never formally met the humans before, the Minbari had no way to understand their
language barrier.
Instead, they continued closing in. As per tradition within the warrior caste, the Minbari cruisers met the Earth Force expedition with their gun ports open, which was considered to be a sign of respect in their culture. Of course, the humans, and particularly Captain Jankowski, had no way of knowing this. With the Minbari scans continuing to interfere with his ship systems, and with their cruisers bearing down on them with guns seemingly at the ready, Jankowski made a fateful decision that would change the galaxy forever. He gave the order to open fire. Caught off guard, the Valen Thaw sustained critical damage that disabled the scanner system, preventing the Earth Force ships from fleeing. But during the opening salvo, Ducat was killed. With a grieving Delenn by his body, one of the Grey Counselors found and informed her that the Council had just begun voting to follow the humans back to their base and take their revenge upon them. But the results were a tie. Delenn's would be the final vote. In her rage at this unprovoked assault, she screamed her demand that they would destroy all of humanity. For this grievous sin against the Minbari people, no mercy would be given. The Earth-Minbari War had begun.
Yeah, so he skipped one little thing, one little facet. When the Grey Council saw the Earth ships, yes, they didn't recognize the Earth ships, but the thing was that they wanted to do Delenn and the Amla Shak, Lemon. I mispronounced his name. Damn. They wanted to make contact with the humans. They wanted to make the contact with the humans, and they found out that the warrior caste, showed their guns, and they were told that they were just doing it out of cultural force. And Delenn and Lemon, why do I keep saying Lemon? the Amla Shak was like, put them away, put the weapons away quickly. They were telling the Great Council and the warrior caste to put those guns away. They're going to misinterpret. They might misinterpret it since they couldn't. Since the first contact, the communication had a language barrier, and his fear was, he was very fearful of a mistake being made. Because the warrior caste did a show of force out of culture and honor. And they figured, since they've never seen the humans before, this was the first ever contact with humans. They didn't want any problems. Unfortunately, the wrong captain got picked, and as you saw, he fired away. The humans fired away on the ships and ran off. Unfortunately, Delenn really got blinded by the death of her mentor and friend, that she completely forgot that he was trying to stop the warrior caste from showing those guns off and to put those away, and just like he said in her fit of rage, just kill all of humanity. And boy, what a fantastic story we start to get from this point on.
Back on Earth, the Prometheus and her ships had returned safely to port. Jankowski, ironically, was hailed as a hero for his actions on the border. If these Minbari were so powerful as Ambassador Malari had warned, then their ships would have been unable to hit their war cruisers and live to tell the tale. But the jovial mood in Earth Dome would not last. Not long after the Prometheus's return, the Minbari had attacked and destroyed Jericho 3, an outlying colony and naval base from which the Prometheus and her task force had launched their foray to the border. All pleas for mercy from the Earth Force defenders stationed at Jericho 3 were ignored, with the only answer being Minbari beamfire. Earth Dome's opinion about the Minbari first contact changed fairly quickly after that. Weeks passed, but the slaughter continued. The Earth Alliance was outmaneuvered and outgunned at every turn. There was no way even the most skilled propagandists could gloss over the terrible losses. In a briefing to Earth Force officers, General Lefcourt himself bluntly stated that unless some weakness or edge against the Minbari was found soon, then the human race would become extinct within the current generation. And as for the man who ordered the shot that doomed humanity, he was found in his apartment, in front of a screen displaying the recent attacks by the Minbari. A smoking phased plasma gun nearby was found next to a note that simply said, "On my head."
He was a...
Jankowski had obviously decided to save the Minbari trouble by eating a plasma bolt himself, instead of waiting for the inevitable.
What a punk.
Meanwhile, on the Minbari side of the war, aboard a Grey Council ship, Delenn was finding herself suffering through a crisis of faith. The slaughter of the humans to avenge the death of Dukat had brought her no peace, and she began to question what was quickly becoming a holy war of genocide to the Minbari. But Lennon would interrupt her introspection to inform her that he had arranged for Dukat's belongings to be brought aboard, and for his sanctum to be recreated exactly as it was before, concluding with the unspoken hint that it was very important that she took the time to visit. Easily picking up on the obvious hint, Delenn moved to do just that. Once she entered Dukat's sanctum, she noticed that something was off. This was when two alien individuals emerged from the darkness in full encounter suits. Emissaries of the Vorlons, their original allies during the first Shadow War. But no one had any contact with the Vorlons in centuries. What were they doing aboard a Minbari ship? The answer became clear when one of them played a recorded message from Dukat himself, that if whoever was seeing this message meant that he was dead, and whoever the Vorlons chose to show this message to was to help prepare them for the second Shadow War. To do this, they needed to find a race called humanity and bring them in as allies in the coming conflict. Dukat finished his message by imploring the viewer to finish his work. After Delenn confirmed with the Vorlons about humanity's importance, Lennon also appeared from the darkness surrounding them, voicing that the entire trip to the Shadow homeworld was a plan by him and Dukat to instigate a first contact situation with the humans and with the members of the Grey Council present in order to expedite matters.
Yeah, Tchaikovsky really royal effed up this one. Another thing that Max Lord glossed over again was that when Earth was choosing who would lead the expedition, and it was made very clear in the movie itself that Tchaikovsky was known to have been a firebrand and was considered very high risk to use on the expedition. And if I remember correctly, it was John Sheridan, Captain John Sheridan, who was offered to join that expedition. And if I remember correctly, it was on the hopes that he would be able to keep Tchaikovsky in check, make sure he doesn't go for gun ho on the Minbari upon first contact. But he was still on the Agamemnon, and which was in its final flight, in its final missions, its final days, and he wanted to be with his captain and see its farewell. So he wasn't there when the whole thing went down. That's actually a very, very this is what I was trying to say about J. Michael Straczynski. There's a lot of little things in Babylon 5 that actually is vitally important, and he's leaving a lot of that stuff out. And as he saw, he finally got to the part where it was about meeting the humans at Zahad Doom. his hope to lure them out to Sa'adum so they can communicate with the humans. They hadn't. There was an intention to first contact the Khan Lennon. Unfortunately, it didn't turn out that way with the expedition because, as what was feared, Lakowski went full firebrand mode and started attacking. Started to attack and hit the Minbari because of because of their culture, the warrior caste culture of showing guns as a sign of respect, without any awareness of how first contact should work. So with regards to J. Michael Straczynski's works, you gotta really be attentive to the little things that he writes, because they do contextualize why the things happen. And Max Lore kind of forgot that one little facet about Jankowski was that he was marked as a firebrand and a very high risk to be sent on an expedition mission like that, and it ended up happening as was feared by the brass, unfortunately, and of course Jankowski took his life as a means of atonement for causing what would be basically the extinction of the human race.
This whole war had just turned upside down for Delenn, as she was faced with two insurmountable truths. The humans were the key to prevailing against the return of the Shadows, and this war had to end. But the war was continuing to proceed poorly for Earth Force. Rumors abound through the fleet about a Minbari cruiser ace that had destroyed over 24 ships single-handedly, but her next target would be her last. The EAS Lexington and her battle group were on patrol when they encountered a Minbari flyer fleeing into the asteroid field. The Earth Force captain subsequently ordered a Star Fury to launch and pursue the bogey, but it was perhaps this choice that sealed their fate. Not long after the Star Fury entered the asteroid field, a Minbari Charlin cruiser hyperjumped on top of the Earth Force ships and proceeded to systematically destroy the entire battle group. That was except for the Lexington herself. Heavily damaged and believed to be dead in space, the Charlin simply left the area as it believed its work was done. With her captain dead in the attack, it fell to her first officer, Commander John Sheridan, to act.
Tron!
Realizing that they could not escape under their own power, and that any distress call sent to Earth would signal to the Minbari that they were still alive, Sheridan hatched a simple but extraordinarily powerful strategy. The Lexington would broadcast a distress call, but not before they placed a few nuclear warheads among the asteroids on a wireless trigger. Once the Minbari detected the signal and closed in on their obviously wounded prey, they would detonate the nukes and catch the ship in the explosion. It worked. The defeat of the Dralafi was a stunning victory, making it the first, and unfortunately only battle the Earth Alliance would triumph in combat against the Minbari outright, and earning Sheridan the Minbari name of Star
What an
Killer.
epic name to have.
Aboard another ship far away, Delenn held a conference with Lennon on how to end the war. The subject at hand, though, was faced with two daunting obstacles. The fury of the Minbari people over the loss of Dukat could not be tempered, and any attempt by a Minbari to contact the humans directly would force the Grey Council to interfere. But perhaps there was an indirect way to open a line of dialogue with the Alliance. It was known that the humans had dealings with the Narn regime for weapons to use in the war. If Lennon could get his rangers to work with the Narn, perhaps a diplomatic solution for the war could be reached. Lennon, despite the seemingly untrustworthy nature of both humans and Narn, agreed. On Earth, Commander Sheridan was accompanying General Lefcourt to his office for a new assignment. But when they entered, an ambassador from the Narn regime was found inside waiting for both men. Jakar. The general quickly explained the reason for Jakar's presence. Sheridan was selected for a mission in which the Narn would transport him on a covert operation to an out-of-the-way planet where, in theory, they would meet with the Minbari representative to discuss peace. The only problem was, as this was done through unofficial channels, there was no way to determine if this was some kind of Minbari trick, or even if they were serious about ending the war. It was believed by Lefcourt that Sheridan's reputation among the Minbari would make them think twice about betraying them. He, along with another Alliance service member, Dr. Stephen Franklin, would meet with the Minbari representative to determine their intentions, and if they were as they said, negotiations could begin in full. Soon after, arriving in orbit of the planet aboard a Narn cruiser, Jakar, Sheridan, and Franklin awaited the Minbari official on the planet's surface, who turned out to be Lenon. But as the preliminary greetings and statement of intentions between the two parties began, the Narn cruiser in orbit came under fire from an unknown ship and was quickly destroyed. And, apparently not willing to settle with just the ship, the unknown marauder began opening fire at the meeting place on the planet below, killing Lenon.
Okay, but I just want to make note, because he did put the note there. He did put the note on there. But I'll just tell you from, since I saw the movie, Lando Molari was the one who sent that. Sent the ships, because he thought, being that the Narn was involved, and the Minbari and the Centauri and the Narn had been at war with each other for centuries, even with enslaving the Narn, and the Narn had a revolution and was able to free themselves from Centauri control. Lando thought that there was a scheme going on between humans and Narn going on. He didn't know that the Minbari, that it was about ending the Minbari Earth War, and he sent out a group of ships to hit them, because he was looking to take out what he thought was an Earth Narn scheme. He didn't know that it was actually a negotiation to end the war.
As he lay dying, Lenon knew that his people would come and slaughter the others in revenge for his death. To prevent
and because
them from
this
sharing
John
his fate,
Sheridan,
he used his last words to tell Sheridan how he and the others can escape with their lives when his people come for him. True to Lenon's predictions, the Minbari sent a ship and took the two humans and Narn aboard. Brought before Delenn, who hid her face in the robes of the Grey Council, Sheridan told her what Lenon said to him as she ordered them to be sent away. "I know what's in Ducat's sacred place." When Delenn questioned him further, Sheridan replied, "In Silza, the future." And to the surprise of everyone assembled, she let them go, as this was obviously a message from Lenon to spare the humans. In the 2 years since, the war continued to degenerate for the Alliance, but Earth Force never gave up fighting, as the alternative was simply to just lay down and die. But finally, the Earth Alliance had run out of time. The Earth Force fleet at Proxima 3 had lost contact with Earth Dome. That could only mean one thing. The Minbari were at Earth's doorstep. Twilight was about to fall on the human race. In a heartfelt plea to hold the line against the night by President Beth Levy, Earth Force and civilian ships rallied over Earth for a desperate last stand. Everyone who participated knew that their chances of survival, much less victory, were almost zero. But the plan was never to beat back the Minbari, but simply to hold their warships off long enough for the civilian transports to evacuate to neutral territory. The Earth Alliance and its defenders would fall, but humanity would endure. This small hope kept the fires of defiance burning among those who chose to fight in what would be the last stand of the Earth Alliance. Aboard the Minbari flagship, Delenn found herself in the pit of despair, preparing herself to join the Grey Council in witnessing the final attack on Earth. Perhaps wishing to find one last shred of hope in the situation she found herself in, she returned to Ducat's sanctum to speak with the Vorlons. She pled with the alien emissaries that the war had taken on a life of its own with her people, but the other counselors had grown sick of the slaughter. If they had but a reason to stop this war, or even delay it, she knew that the council would use it, but she had no reason to give them, and she did not know what to do.
Yeah, that was one of the big problems that the Minbari have. The warrior caste really had a lot of dominating control over the Minbari. The War Council was struggling because they wanted to end the war, but how do you stop it when you have a warrior caste hell bent on absolute victory? You know, they're how you say, ideological driven. They're so ideologically driven as a caste to have absolute victory and total annihilation of an entire species, an entire race, to let the whole universe know, don't F with us ever again. Don't come effing with us. To make an example, it was very difficult. And he's absolutely right. The War Council did struggle to figure out how to stop this war, because it was 2 years. It's exhausting. And that's primarily due to the fact that humans were resilient. He didn't mention, because he stayed focused on the war. But to put it succinctly, Lando Mollari had pointed out that of all the races that had taken on the Minbari and lost, the humans are the ones who showed the most resilience out of all of them. As he put it, when humans ran out of ships, they resorted to guns, and when they ran out of guns, they were down to sticks and stones. They never relented in fighting back against the Minbari, and in turn, it gained a lot of sympathy across the galaxy among all the races. And that reverberated to the Minbari, and the Minbari didn't know what they could do to stop a caste that is just hell-bent on absolute annihilation, who's looking for absolute annihilation. But in every sense, the humans really legitimately earned the respect of all the worlds, because they didn't just keel over. They took it all the way down to fists and stones and such. And that, I think that was it. There was nothing more Mollari said. There was nothing more he said past that.
The Vorlons at first simply replied with the trademark mysterious silence their race would be known for, but as Delenn proceeded to leave and join the rest of the Grey Council, they told her simply that the truth points to itself. But before she could ask what they meant, they urged her to go, before it was too late. The Battle of the Line had begun.
What a name, Battle of the Line.
The humans, as always, put up a brave front, and were more than willing to give their lives to secure the future of their race. But like with every other engagement, they were ill-equipped to deal with the advanced technology of the Minbari fleets. The battlefield quickly turned into a slaughterhouse. No amount of spirit and sheer will from the defenders could hold back the falling knight. Or so the humans thought. Commander Jeffrey Sinclair, one of the Star Fury pilots in the fighting, was stuck in a hopeless situation. His fighter had been damaged to the point of being almost completely ineffective for fighting. Enraged at his helpless state and the coming of his own demise, Sinclair made a full afterburner run towards the nearest Minbari war cruiser, intending to take as many of them with him as he could. But as it so happened, the Charlene cruiser that Sinclair chose was none other than the Grey Council flagship, where Delenn, along with the rest of the Grey Council,
if he got through.
Watched the ensuing carnage. Still struggling to come to terms with the slaughter happening around her, and recalling what the Vorlon said, she gave an order that to her almost didn't seem to come from her conscious mind. Delenn ordered one of the humans to be captured and interrogated, the rationale being that they had to know what defense the Earth Alliance might have in store for them. Moran, a warrior caste council member, not seeing what difference it would make, humored her decision and told her to choose a ship. But which would she choose? It was hard to select one human vessel out of the hundreds fighting and dying to protect their homeworld. But that's when she noticed Sinclair's Star Fury on a collision course with them. Again recalling what the Vorlon said to her prior, she came to the shocking realization that the truth just had pointed to itself through the kamikaze human pilot. Acting quickly, Delenn ordered Sinclair's fighter to be brought aboard, and its pilot to be interrogated, which Moran himself would personally oversee. Brought aboard the Minbari ship, Jeffrey Sinclair was drugged and restrained. In an effort to probe the human pilot's mind, Moran used a holy relic called a triluminary, but what he found from Sinclair using it was almost too impossible for words. He had to summon the council. With the Grey Council present, Delenn used the triluminary herself and confirmed Moran's findings. That this lowly human had not just a Minbari soul, but the reincarnated soul of Valen, their greatest leader. The results from the triluminary could not be disputed, as it was their holiest relic passed down by the original Valen himself. The human was what it said he was, Delenn then realized what had to be done to pull her people back from the brink. The Minbari had to surrender to the Alliance. With the findings of the Triluminary and the slaughter of the humans throughout the course of the war, meant that the Minbari violated their most sacred law. Minbari do not kill Minbari. And with that, Delenn ordered a message of surrender be broadcast to Earth Dome. The war was over. The Minbari's surrender on the eve of their victory would be a mystery to the spacefaring races, and even their own people, for many, many years. Jeffrey Sinclair's mind was wiped of the events of his capture and interrogation, but Delenn would make sure to keep a very close eye on him in the future. Using the lessons gained from the war, Earth Alliance leadership began work on the Babylon Project, a space station in neutral territory where other spacefaring races could come together and resolve their conflicts with one another peacefully. It was believed by all involved to be the last best hope.
And most importantly, to prevent mistakes with first
Babylon
contact.
Stations were destroyed during construction, and the fourth having mysteriously disappeared shortly after it came online. But the fifth and last station, Babylon 5, would become a place of great significance in the years to come. For in the words of Londo Mollari, the story is never over.
Three destroyed Babylon stations. Rest in peace. Alright, I better fuzz that. That gets copyrighted. Where is that? Let me see if I can find it. That was actually a really nice yeah, there we go. Let me see. There was a good clip here. I just want to get this little scene here. So yeah, he left a few little caveat details out in this whole thing, because one of the things that he did that he left out, he pointed out that that Sinclair, was the reincarnation of Valen, their holy figure. But the other thing that he didn't point out was that they actually brought in other pilots and other soldiers. They were able to bring in others and put the Triluminary to them, and found that they were also glowing. So it wasn't so much just the reincarnation of Valen alone in Jeffrey Sinclair. What they found was that that Minbari souls were being reincarnated into human beings. Hence their sacred and cardinal rule that Minbari never kills a Minbari. And because in their religion and their faith, and this was the religion caste, the religious caste that was able to dictate the end of the war, they had to make it very clear to the warrior caste, we've been killing Minbari. We've been killing the reincarnation of Minbari. Their souls are residing in these humans, and we are killing them. We're killing our own people by extension, and we have to stop this. The warrior caste was definitely baffled because it really came out of nowhere. It came out of nowhere, despite what was seen. But the thing was that she had to keep it quiet. She had to keep all that quiet, because if they said that Jeffrey Sinclair was the reincarnation of Valen, Minbar would have crucified them along with the humans. So they had to keep that on the kibosh. They had to finesse it in a way. They had to finesse that. But that's the real reason why the war stopped. It wasn't just the reincarnation alone. They found in their faith, they found that there were souls, humans Minbari souls residing in humans, and was a violation of their sacred law that they're not supposed to kill each other no matter what. And yeah, the warrior cast was definitely left baffled because again that was put under confidentiality, and the spacefaring races were definitely confused because the Minbari really were I wouldn't say winning, they were about to finish it. They were on the cusp of finishing it, and that really left a lot of stuff. That left a lot of questions, and of course, in the wake of this war, they created the Babylon Project, which resulted in 5 Babylon stations. As Max Lord noted, 3 of them blew up, 1 disappeared, and Babylon 5 was the one that stands. And the whole purpose of that was not just only to resolve things peacefully, but to also prevent a first contact disaster. The point was that there would be sort of like a staging point for first contact. If an alien race wants to commit to first contact, the Babylon stations was supposed to provide that to prevent the situation that happened with Kerensky. With Jankowski. Sorry, I got BattleTech in my brain all of a sudden. Jankowski's recklessness and of course the language barrier that the humans in Minbari had, as well as the ignorance of culture, because they didn't know about the warrior caste culture where presenting the guns means something, and they didn't know anything about the humans at all, even though that was Lennon and Ducat's goal to Sahadum, was to draw out the humans as a place to make first contact with. And unfortunately, because of that disaster of a first contact, it was an end result of it definitely was an end result of a war. Honestly, Earth Dome should have sent Lando Malari and the Centauri. Like an attaché or representative to contact, since the Centauri had made contact with the Minbari, and and they have relations. They should have used the Centauri to go to the Minbari and say, hey, listen, the humans want to make first contact with you, and that would have lined up perfectly with Ducat and Lennon's plan. And that would have definitely prevented the mess. But, as Lando said about the humans, arrogance and stupidity, humans got a little too big, really didn't heed Lando's warning, didn't really consider to go, to ask the Centauri to, go and talk to the Minbari first and say that they want to set up something and establish a place of meeting, and Lando Malari, or whoever was the Minbari the Centauri representative, would have told Earth about some of the cultural things they were going to do upon first contact and what to watch out for, and definitely definitely it was good. It is definitely solid writing on the part of J. Michael Straczynski, because you don't want everything to be perfect. You don't want a perfect first contact. Even Star Trek's first contacts tend to end up getting all screwed up and everything. And it was definitely great showing how easy it is that expanding, when you're trying to expand a sphere of influence politically and militarily, and the arrogance that comes out of it, is a great cautionary tale that Straczynski was able to bring out, and show that despite all of that, weird things can happen that could lead to crazy event. Like it's not perfect. You know what I'm saying? Straczynski showed in his writing of Babylon 5 that, not all things are perfect. Sometimes strange things just occur, and people just get the luck, People get the luck. Like, the fact that if like the fact that if crap. Dang it, why'd I suddenly forgot his name? Sinclair. Brain fart. If Sinclair had successfully managed to hit that ship with the Great Council in it and destroyed it, like if he was able to successfully hit it and was able to get through through their technology and cause basically the death of the Great Council, there's no telling what would have happened in that war. Either it could have turned out much worse, and the warrior cast would have just end up being going into full berserker mode, or they could have really been damaged morale, and the humans could have been able to push back and win. We'll never know. I mean, it's all speculation and everything, but it's just really funny that that Sinclair was flying his Star Fury right into one of the to the battle cruiser that had the Great Council in it. Oh man. I can't say enough about how great Straczynski is a writer. He's very good with foreshadowing. It's like an art, and his ability to do trapdoors, to be able to remove characters seamlessly from his stories without it being jarring or unexpected. Because if you watch like a lot of shows, I'll give you one good example, and it normally happens when they do this. Child actors, whenever a sitcom decides to throw in a child actor because they want to stay young, keep the show staying young, sometimes that child actor doesn't work out, and then they have to somehow write the character off. And one good example of that was Married with Children's Seven. Seven was a kid from one of Peggy's wanker relatives, the Wanker family. Just abandoned the kid to Al Bundy and to Alan Pegg, and the kid was not only did they have no good storyline for the kid whatsoever, like he was just there. They didn't give him an episode to work with, to try out and turn it into something good. And eventually he just disappeared. And they wrote him off by putting him on a milk carton, which has very, very damning implications. Even though it was made as a joke, the fact that he disappeared like that and ended up in a milk carton is just it's just very bad, very bad. Like they couldn't find a way to just write him out with no just write him out in a dignified manner. They just fired the kid they fired the child actor, and slapped his face on a milk carton, saying that he disappeared. And they just never even the Bundys never even acknowledged his existence ever again. It's very terrible, when you do that, especially as a writer, and especially when you're trying to do gimmicks and such. With Babylon 5, J. Michael Straczynski had contingency plans. He had contingency plans if in the event something would happen to an actor, or if he has to cut an actor, let an actor go. He had a way of removing them. And one such instance was Jeffrey Combs, who played Sinclair. He had a physical condition. I believe he had a physical condition, which was not very good. He was not in very good good health, and he couldn't continue on the series as Sinclair. So Straczynski had a plan for him. He always had a plan for him. And he was able to put that to effect, and was able to write him off and bring in Bruce Boxleitner, the Tron Man himself, the original Tron himself, the Tron Man, as Captain Sheridan. And as you can see, he came in season 2, Bruce Boxleitner. So when in the beginning this movie came out, he was able to incorporate Sheridan into the story, and was able to establish why he was known as the Star Killer, and we get to see that. so in a sense, Straczynski always stays on top of his writing. He always stays attentive to everything that he puts into it. What he writes into it. He makes sure that nothing gets forgotten or gets left off. For example, Toph, who served as an attaché to Jakar. Who was to Ambassador Jakar. She disappeared completely from the whole entire show at a certain point. But he was able to bring her back in for at least for one more episode, and we got to see where her fate is. And we got to see the implications, the result of that when Jakar confronted Londo to try and get her out. Try to get her out of the prison. So, Straczynski does not let plot points or characters just disappear out of the ether, just like that. Aside from like special guest characters, he manages to find a way to keep characters around. If characters were to leave the show, he had a way to remove them. He called it the trap door. He would write a trap door just in case an actor had to leave, or if he wanted to, or if an actor, got fired or anything happened. He had a means of removing them in a logical way instead of just disappearing them out of the ether, and made sure that how they left would have an impact on characters, and that is very high level writing. That's not easy to do, and definitely not easy to keep up as a writer. That's why he definitely, from the way I'm talking, you can see that he definitely has an impact in me as a writer. Between him and Clamp, they definitely definitely have a very, very adverse effect in my writings and such. Foreshadowing is most definitely one of his big traits in Babylon 5, and it was fantastic learning that from him when he had a panel at Comic-Con over a decade ago when I attended New York Comic-Con, and learning from him from foreshadowing. About foreshadowing, it was just, oh gosh, well, I don't no, I gotta be careful. Yeah, I don't want to taper off. But to put it succinctly, J. Michael Straczynski had a panel, but it wasn't a fan panel of that sort. The panel that he ran was for aspiring writers. He wanted to talk to aspiring writers on how to write and how to approach writing and such. And let me tell you something, I was surrounded by with other aspiring writers, and we were all taking notes. We all had notepads, and once he started speaking and explaining, it was like a Q&A session. When he answered, yeah, we were writing notes down. Oh man. So it was just an amazing experience hearing from the man himself, and really makes me appreciate Babylon 5 and his other works as well. Definitely wish we could have recorded that, that was some valuable information. Man. So yeah, that was Babylon 5 research. Again, Max Lore, Max, MAC apostrophe as Lore. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and give them a like. It was pretty good. And he did, even though he left out a few details, he did a good job not spoiling Babylon 5. Believe me, I was, it might have seemed weird that I was keeping my trap shut, and for most of it, but that was because my brain was wanting to give away Babylon 5, and I want to be a little respectful for those who are still discovering Babylon 5 to this day, because it's definitely a cult hit. It was on syndication first before it went on before it got moved to TNT, and finding Babylon 5 is very difficult. I'm sure maybe now it's on like an Amazon Prime or something, but it was definitely difficult to find Babylon 5, the complete series, to be able to for anybody to watch, and it's most definitely going to be new for a lot of you. So yeah, be very careful out there on the internet with regards to Babylon 5. Try and watch the series. Definitely watch the series. So yes, thank you all for Babylon 5 research. One more. Dragon Ball Z. Who's up for some Dragon Ball Z research? Oh yes. Let's let me just make sure everything is in place here. Last of the researches. Let's see here. I hope you're all having a great time. I'm hoping that I'm helping some of you aspiring writers out with my takes. I'm always happy, to help fellow writers, fellow creators out there. I may not be a super expert or anything. I'm still a student of the craft, but I always like to welcome everyone to learn alongside with me, so that way we could be better writers, because we definitely need better writers in this world right now. All right. All right, let's move on to Dragon Ball Z research. This is from Poohead189Z. DB info, the Namekians. We're going to do some Namekian lore here. I'm not sure how good he is. It looks like he's covering a lot of Namekians between anime and manga. He's got a good chunk of subscribers here. He got good chunk of views, so yeah, make sure you check them out. The links are down in the description below. So Namekians, they dated back to the original Dragon Ball with King Piccolo, and he ended up spitting out an egg that became Piccolo that we know of today. Yeah, the Namekian race was introduced as a whole in Dragon Ball Z, basically a hard retcon on Piccolo and Kami and King Piccolo and such. And ended up being a very fascinating group of people with their lore, Slug, Lord Slug, the culture, and all done in one single arc too, which was pretty impressive. Akira Toriyama was able to be able to cover some of their cultures and lore, despite the situation they were in against Frieza in the series. And we never really got to see them again after that, after the Frieza saga, quite honestly. The only Namekians now that we got is not even Kami. Kami merged with Piccolo at this point, and it's just Dende. Yeah, it's just Dende and Piccolo. Dende and Piccolo at this point. And basically nothing more came out of them, and it would be nice if they would revisit them at some point, because they were definitely a good group. Like, they had fighters and other stuff going on. So yeah, we're gonna need to find out more about the Namekians here. So comment, like, subscribe, follow, hit the notification button, and let's begin the research.
You're one of us. We have to work together.
許さんぞお前たち。ナメック星の平和を踏みにじりよって。
So it's you! Why, you low-down, dirty, stinking, backbiting Namek? Bring it on!
Hey guys, Poohead189 here, and I apologize for how long this video took to release. I want to drop at least one video a month, if not more, but I was extra busy this past month. Anyway, let's get into a deep dive on the Namekians. The Namekians are an extraterrestrial race of humanoids hailing from the verdant, peaceful world of planet Namek. They're a slug-like, almost reptilian race of beings with deeply green skin and pinkish undertones along their arms, legs, and stomach. It also should be noted that Toriyama never drew a Namekian's feet, so we have no idea what they really look like from his perspective.
I never thought of that.
Toyotaro drew them, at least from what I recall. But I just want to give that little bit of trivia. Namekians also tend to fluctuate in height quite highly, though many of them are quite large. As he's the most prominent Namekian, we'll use Piccolo as the main example in this video. Piccolo himself stands very close to 7.5 feet tall.
Yeah, he's tall.
And we can surmise King Piccolo was even larger, if not around that height at least. And of course, Guru is huge. Piccolo Jr. likely was made smaller than King Piccolo, at least a bit, to make him sort of more presentable to draw, but he's still massive. The closest in height amongst the Z fighters to Piccolo is Tien, who stands a few inches above 6 feet. That's still quite big, though, considering the average Japanese man is around 5.5 feet tall. But back to the Namekians, let's dive into their physiology. Namekians are an agender, asexual race. Their reproduction is a fairly simple affair. The Namekian people have a grand elder who produces eggs through his mouth and fathers the entire people. It's difficult to tell how many grand elders lived at a single time in the Namekians' heyday, as the race, when we were first introduced, was severely depleted in number. It's doubtful Guru could father millions of children at a time, considering he only birthed a little over 100 himself, but we're never given that sort of information. And while I will discuss more about it in a bit, it appears that even a Namekian that is not a Grand Elder can spawn mutant children, or children that are copies of themselves, as King Piccolo did. Namekians, curiously, do not need to eat food in order to sustain themselves. They merely need water to survive, though curiously, they do have prominent canines in their teeth, almost like fangs, and they also have fairly sharp fingernails that look very close to claws. Which means from an evolutionary standpoint, we can speculate their teeth and claws were either used in defense or some sort of bluff in their ancient past. They also have extremely good, keen hearing, much like how Saiyans, at least at the beginning of the series, have a really good sense of smell. Probably the clearest indication of this is when Future Trunks arrived and decided to speak with Goku privately, away from the group, but Piccolo could hear every word spoken. Namekians are also very long-lived, able to live for centuries at a time. Grand Elder Guru, who we all know died of old age in the series, passed away at 501 years old. Apparently, the nameless Namekian, who split into Piccolo and Kami, respectively, was 19 years older than even Guru. Namekian bodies, well actually, maybe it's just because Guru spawned hundreds of children, or over 100 children, and King Piccolo and Kami just didn't do that. At least Kami didn't. Oh well, that's a bit of speculation. But Namekian bodies are also very malleable, with different capabilities that are very useful in a variety of circumstances. For one, since they are not required to eat but can choose to do so, they can use their stomachs as storage devices, such as when Kami was caught in the jar and Piccolo swallowed it. And they can regurgitate items quite easily, as shown in that arc. They also can stretch their arms dozens of feet, and potentially other parts of their anatomy as well. They can stretch the arm. Of course, one of their most notable abilities is the ability to increase their size. Obviously, the best example of this is Piccolo Jr. growing to tower over Goku during the fight in the 23rd Tournament Finals. And last but definitely not least, Namekians are able to withstand immense punishment most others could not, as not only are their bodies a bit more pliable than a normal person's, but they're able to regenerate limbs and even major aspects of their anatomy like lizards with their tails. However, it seems the regeneration is not an ability one waits for or that happens over time. It can be done at will. But it's a conscious choice by the Namekian themselves. Not only that, but it seems certain aspects of the regeneration is directly tied to the power of the individual. For instance, Piccolo has always been able to regenerate a damaged arm. Yet as Piccolo grew stronger, his arms did as well, meaning he needed to wait a bit longer for his power to return, or else if he regenerated too quickly, he would be reduced in strength. Also, the average Namekian cannot deal with, say, losing their entire torso. Piccolo himself was maimed after Frieza shot a death beam through his chest, and Piccolo was also very hurt and near dead when Cell blasted a hole through his torso. Yet later on, once Piccolo had enough ki, he could survive his entire body being destroyed as long as his head remained intact. Although, a quick side note, even though Piccolo was defeated, having a hole shot through him twice with Frieza and Cell, he still survived, unlike what we might expect from an Earthling or a Saiyan, which is one reason why Namekians just survive things better. It's an obvious thing to point out, but I feel like I would be remiss if I did not mention it. Now,
Namekians are very durable and very high constitution. And Toriyama did a fantastic job laying that out and keeping that consistent. Even though he sort of kind of winged it with the Namekians after the Budokai Tenkaichi and the arrival of the Saiyans, he still managed to keep them very consistent during the course of the series, the whole saga, really, the whole entire Dragon Ball saga. Most recently, Piccolo went super mode in was it Superhero? Dragon Ball Hero? Dragon Ball Superhero? Dang. Yeah, when he was taking on superheroes in Dragon Ball Superheroes. The problem is that it's Dragon Ball Super, but then they have hero in it, so it feels like I'm saying superhero when it's supposed to be Dragon Ball Super : Heroes. The titling can be so off the charts, man. Oh man. Yeah, so for the most part, they can, culturally speaking, they can fight. I wonder if he's gonna cover their culture. There's still a lot more to go here, but he went through the whole anatomy, which was pretty good, all things considered. Piccolo being 7 feet tall, they can enlarge, like in the case of Piccolo Jr. They reproduce by spitting eggs out, and even though Guru is the one that does most of the egg spitting, others can do the same as well, but they'll just be more like carbon copies of themselves in a sense. Let's see. Yeah, they do have strong hearing, as we saw when, like he said, when it was speaking to Trunks. And honestly, I don't think we ever saw that come into play again. No, because he just senses the power levels and that's it. Most definitely, I haven't seen Piccolo put that to use after that, after Trunks. After Trunks, which is kind of disappointing because same with Goku and his sniffing powers. Like the whole sensing of power really took away so many key tool sets. But then again, the power creep took away the Z Viters as well. Tien Han, Yamcha, Krillin, rendered them useless. So yeah, Dragon Ball Z going full martial arts power level thing. Was definitely a double-edged sword, because on one hand it made Dragon Ball Z awesome, then the whole Dragon Ball saga awesome, but at the same time it robbed us of characters like Yamcha and Tien Han, Chaozu. Like they rarely fight again, and very prominent really with Dragon Ball, with the Dragon Ball Super Heroes film. Toriyama Sensei and the team and the animation team, story wise, had to keep Goku and Vegeta out, and they found a good excuse for it. They made some very good excuses, so that way Gohan and Piccolo could be the center of the fight, which was, first of all, take into consideration that Gohan and Piccolo fighting together again after so many years was epic to see. Seeing them teaming up again, because we hadn't seen the two team up. In fact, we haven't really seen them team up at all in a legitimate manner. Usually it's like Gohan was always getting rescued by Piccolo. Piccolo shows up and starts aura farming before he takes off his vest and helmet, his hat and cloak, and start fighting. I think this was the first time we legitimately had a serious fight. The two of them team up for a serious fight, but yeah, Piccolo also got pushed aside despite at a key point in the Dragon Ball saga until Superheroes came out, in which him and Gohan became the center of the whole movie. And we need more of that. Like, we need to see these guys more. It can't just keep on being Goku and Vegeta trying to achieve Ultra Instinct.
A small talk on their history. We are not given too much information on their race or planet before the series begins, but we do know a few details. It seems a few centuries before Dragon Ball begins, there was a massive cataclysm that racked the planet Namek, destroying most of its people and many of its forests. So damaging was this mysterious catastrophe that only 2 members of the entire species were said to have survived, or are known to have survived. Guru, who would later birth the rest of the Namekian people, and the nameless Namekian, who would later split into Kami and Piccolo. And to tie this segment into the one based on the Namekian's physiology, Namekian gardens are not tended for normal agriculture, as they do not need to eat. Instead, the Namekians were merely trying to reseed their world with the beautiful trees that once covered the green planet. Now, let's get into the clan system of the Namekian people. There are 3 known clans, though it is hard to gauge on whether there used to be more. The most common one, and likely the most useful clan, is the Dragon Clan. Members of the Dragon Clan serve as either dutiful gardeners, wards of the Dragon Balls, mystics, and elders of their people. They seem to be the tenders of the civilization, and the older ones are leaders, sages of wisdom, and potentially sires for their people, like Guru. It takes a member of the Dragon Clan in order to create the Dragon Balls, though their rank and experience will determine what the ball's capabilities will be. Other skills of Dragon Clan members tend to be magical in nature, such as Piccolo's Clothes Beam, Guru's ability to awaken the hidden potential locked within someone's body, and Dende's healing ability. Guru, Mori, Kami, Dende, and even Piccolo are members of the Dragon Clan. Next is the Warrior Clan, and we know very little about this clan, as we only see one member of it in the modern series, meaning Nail.
No,
they are
we saw a
defenders of
couple.
the world and of the Namekian elders. However, it is hard
saw
to
someone
determine
named
their
once.
exact roles and if they were more or less specialized, or if there were differing groups of the clan, or if they did not defend the planet at all, but they were only tasked with defending the Grand Elder. This is likely not true, but that does seem to be Nail's only task once we meet him in chapter 251 in the manga. Whatever the full extent of their responsibilities are, they are a clan for those Namekians specializing in combat. Nail's power was immense, particularly for that time in the series. Frieza's scouter reads his power level at 42,000, which was far stronger than Kui, Dodoria, Zarbon, Vegeta for the majority of his time on Namek, and entirely likely stronger than a number of the Ginyu Force members. In fact, unless your name was Goku, Frieza, or Captain Ginyu, if you fought Nail, you were going to have a bad time of it. Frieza himself said he would want Nail as a subordinate, and because Nail is of the Warrior Clan, once he fused with Piccolo, one could argue Piccolo was of both the Dragon and Warrior Clan. Finally, we get to the Demon Clan. This clan, despite being introduced first in the series, is an oddity amongst Namekian clans. Sired by Demon King Piccolo, the Demon Clan consists of him and his mutated offspring. Called demons early on, they seem to have some nominal Namekian traits, but are otherwise quite varied in appearance. It's hard to gauge what a normal Namekian would think of them, but they seem to be what happens when a Namekian who is not the Grand Elder wants to spawn children. They also apparently have some unique properties other Namekians do not. It's likely due to Kami's status as god of Earth, and King Piccolo as the antithesis of that, but apparently if a demon clansman kills you, you are sent to an endless limbo rather than to the other world like your standard death grants you, for instance. King Piccolo also loses his youth or energy the more he births his spawn, and it is unknown if Guru is affected in the same fashion, although like I said earlier, that might be one reason why Guru aged slightly more quickly than the nameless Namekian. The last member of the Demon Clan is of course Piccolo Jr. Evidently a Namekian can make a sort of reincarnation of himself, and while I would speculate it likely takes up a lot of one's life force, we only saw King Piccolo do it when he was already dying, so it is difficult to be certain. But to go through all of it now, Piccolo seemed to be a member of all three clans in some form or fashion. Demon Clan originally, and then he became a member of the Dragon Clan once the Demon Clan was destroyed and Piccolo's heart changed, and also certainly once he fused with Kami, and the Warrior Clan when he fused with Nail. So he kind of shows parts of all of the current Namekian culture that we know of.
So now, just a reminder, that the nameless Namekian did split off between Kami and Piccolo. And keep in mind that the Demon Clan is a product of King Piccolo. Basically, he was... Let's see, how did it go? When Piccolo... let's see here. I'm trying to process the... I'm trying to fix the timeline here. I'm trying to work the timeline here. Let's see, the Nameless Namekian split. And then... because they were coming out from King Piccolo. Yeah, this is the one thing that always trips me up, is regarding... it always trips me up, no matter... Even if I read or watch many times over, it always trips me up regarding Piccolo, the order of how it is, because technically speaking, the Demon Clan is a product of Piccolo. And I don't know if that's really legitimately part of the Namekian culture in and of itself, because he's adding the Demon Clan, even though in terms of the main Namekian race itself is the Dragon Clan and the Warrior Clan, but King Piccolo and Piccolo in particular are oddities with a lot, as well as Kami. They're pretty much oddities among the Namekians, and I don't know if that's the right call to say that they were a clan in of itself, because no one on Namek knew Piccolo existed. They didn't know that Piccolo was there. You know, the nameless Namek was on Earth at any time. I don't think Guru ever mentioned that when he encountered Piccolo. Did he even encounter Piccolo? Because I know he had encountered Nail. Piccolo encountered Nail and fused with him. I don't know if that was, that essentially really counts to add a Demon Clan in this lore video, because even Piccolo, if I recall correctly, and I don't want to go by the English one because the English translation's got so many different translations, but if I recall correctly, Piccolo didn't even know he was Namekian. He didn't know he came from the planet Namek until he was called out by Raditz. I need clarification on that, because it really feels like the Demon Clan is being added unintentionally by the video here. Yeah. Let's see. We got some, let's see here. It's a pity, though, if you were truly one as an Namekian, then you might be able to defeat Priest. Of course, I don't know what sort of training you've had, but you have an astonishing amount of power. Then you should also know that I'm in a hurry to say those brats. You seem to be familiar with the details. Yeah. It would have been nice if there was a little bit more lore written on those panels. Yeah, so... I was hoping there might have been some information here, but it is a little strange that he would say that there's a Demon Clan when Piccolo didn't know that he was Namekian in the series until at least because I could have sworn in the Japanese language version, the anime, he said he didn't know he was Namekian. Because then there's no way the Namekians would know that he was the nameless one, and that there was a third group called the third clan called the Demon Clan, called the Demon Clan. Okay, my brain is burned out. Let's move on.
Let's go into some of their abilities. Namekians are also unique in that they have their own racial form of fusion. Just as you would expect, the fusion consists of two people, or two Namekians, fusing into a more powerful being. Unlike the fusion dance or the Patara earrings, however, the Namekian version requires there to be two Namekians, and oddly enough, the product of the fusion is not really an equal fusion between the two fused members. In this version of fusion, there is a dominant subject and a subordinate subject. The dominant subject is the Namekian whose body and personality are primary. The body will remain relatively unchanged, and the personality will be dominant. The subordinate will be integrated into the body of the other, and though they retain some form of sentience, they will mostly be absorbed into the dominant subject, though, at least shown in the anime, there can be times when the subordinate can still see and act according to their own will. The fusion seems to consistently show that the dominant subject merely needs stand there and place their hand on the chest of the subordinate, and with the subordinate's consent and will, and likely knowledge of the technique, they will fuse into the dominant subject's body. The result is a fusion where the Namekian's power is raised dramatically, just like you'd expect from any fusion, really. Now, to segue into the last segment of the video, let's talk about Namekians and their martial arts, which is something not many people really hone in on and talk about.
All right.
I will go into a deep dive on training and Earthling training versus those races from space, such as Saiyans, in the next video. However, let's scratch the surface a bit. It is clear that much of the training and more powerful versions of martial arts on Earth is due to Kami's influence. And while I don't think we can give Kami all of the credit, it seems Namekians know techniques that became a staple for the series moving forward. The ability to lower and raise one's power level, for example, and the ability to sense ki seems to be originally Namekian. In chapter 253, when Frieza and his goons are harassing Namekian villagers, 3 young Dragon Clan fighters show up to fight and defend their people. On the scouter readings, the Frieza henchmen believe their power levels are merely 1,000, but as soon as the fight begins,
how can they not be
raise
part of the
their
warrior
power
clan?
levels to 3,000. And these 3 Namekians seem to be a good indicator of the average fit Dragon Clan member. According to Vegeta and Nappa in chapter 214, Namekians supposedly have an above-average power level amongst the universe, which gives us a good indication of the general strength of the Namekian people. They are not too surprised that Piccolo killed Raditz, considering he is a Namekian, and honestly, considering the Daizenshuu 7 puts Piccolo's power at around 3,500 when Vegeta and Nappa arrive, he would have around the average power level for a healthy Namekian fighter. But I digress. Let's back up and analyze it a bit. If we can take the Daizenshuu at its word, and in my opinion sometimes you can't if the manga contradicts it, but let's do it now. And if the manga states that Piccolo's power level was 408, slightly less than a year prior to when Vegeta and Nappa arrived, that means he multiplied his power by a figure of 8 in less than a year.
Wow.
Not only that, but after his death, he ran Snake Way and arrived on King Kai's planet for a very short amount of time. He had only been dead a matter of weeks, and yet once he is wished back on planet Namek and he finds Nail, Nail acts like Piccolo was already amazingly strong. And to reiterate, Nail had a power level of 42,000, which means Piccolo's power level was close to that or far higher. Let's be conservative and say his power level is around 60,000. That means his power level increased by 17 times in that short amount of time.
That's because King Kai's planet has a lot of gravity. It's a lot of gravity, and all Piccolo did was just sit down and aura farmed. He aura farmed gravity while he was on there. He didn't do all that fighting training. Once he, in fact, if I remember correctly, didn't King Kai tell Piccolo to fight Yamcha and the others to see how far their powers have gone up while they were training with King Kai, and then all of a sudden he realized that they improved while on there because they were able to keep up with him. But he didn't do much of anything. He just sat there aura farming right there on the side of the building while everyone else was training. And he comes out with a freaking power boost when he arrives on Namek, and then fused with Nail. That's insane when you think about it. That means that all the time he's been aura farming in the mountains on Earth, he's been absorbing that gravity without ever having to throw a single punch in his training. I think his cloak and helmet having weights on it was just a ruse. I mean, yeah, it falls down in actually no. Now that I even think about it, he uses that along with gravity to bulk up his body through power leveling, through aura farming. Yeah, he always gets a every time he aura farms, he gets a power boost. Chat, you're absolutely right. Kick chat, you're absolutely right. He wears the weights because all that heaviness, he has to, use a lot of his upper body strength to be able to maintain a straight posture, his aura farming posture, and with the heaviness of the earth under him, he's like absorbing it. Yeah, chat. Kick chat. Goku has weights too, but Piccolo's weights have got to be even heavier, if not more so, so that his body doesn't, cause him to slouch or crush his shoulders. He's always like this, keeping that posture with those heavy weights. Oh man, the Piccolo aura farms his power level. That's hilarious. It makes so much sense now. That's the only way he got that high. Also, since I got the Kick chat up, maybe you could help me out with what our content creator said earlier. I need to understand the order of Piccolo, Kami and Piccolo, starting off as the nameless Namek. They split off into Kami and Piccolo. Was it King Piccolo? Was it Piccolo? Piccolo became King when they split up. It was King Piccolo and Kami, correct? Before King Piccolo ended up becoming Piccolo. Because I feel like I confused myself with that. To give you context, the content creator pointed out that there were 3 clans in the Namekian lore. One was the Dragon Clan, which was the ones who use King Piccolo is his daddy. This is Piccolo Jr. Thank you. Okay, because I was getting thrown off. He said that officially there were 3 clans, 3 Namekian clans: the Dragon Clan, the Warrior Clan, and the Demon Clan. But the problem that I'm having, and I need to know, in the Japanese language version, did Piccolo say that he never knew he was a Namekian when Raditz called him out and said, "Hey, look, it's a Namekian," when he said, "Oh, look, it's a Namekian." Did Piccolo say in the Japanese language, in the official Japanese language version, that he didn't know he was ever a Namekian, that he was an alien all along? He probably didn't know. Right? The reason why is because the way this was presented in this research video was that there was 3 official clans: the Dragon Clan, the Warrior Clan, the Demon Clan. The Dragon Clan, he said, was of course Guru, Kami. They do the magic, the spiritualism. They're also the ones that can spawn baby Namekian eggs and such. And the other was the Warrior Clan, which was Nail and the 3 warriors that showed up to fight Frieza. And then he said the third one was the Demon Clan, which was an oddity. Because they came from King Piccolo, and it threw me off guard because he's trying to say that that's 3 official clans, as in the all the Namekians is part of the Namekian culture. But if Piccolo didn't know that he was an alien, and he was the one spawning off the demon Namekians, then how did the original Namekians on the planet Namek know that there was a demon clan to begin with? So this might have been an error on the part of the content creator, trying to say that that the Demon Clan is part of the Namekian, the main Namekian homeworld culture, because they never had demon Namekians in Namek. It was just the Warrior Clan and the Dragon Clan. the Demon Clan was exclusively on Earth. They would never have known that because they didn't even know Earth existed. So this seems to be so you don't know either. Of course, we're dealing with Akira Toriyama also. He tends to he sort of kind of maybe he sort of kind of maybe wings it at times with when it comes to Dragon Ball lore, and just throw something on out of nowhere, just to be fair. But it just seemed kind of weird in terms of the video here pointing out that there was a demon clan, as if the Namekians themselves on the planet Namek had that culture when they never had that throughout the entire Namekian saga, nor was it made clear that there was a demon clan by Guru or any of the Namekians on there. It just happened only on Earth because of Piccolo Jr. and King Piccolo. No, that's fair. That happened to all of us. You know, Dragon Ball, the original Dragon Ball, was definitely aired very limited in the early '90s on American syndication. They didn't do a very good job, you know, given the entire series, and then they just jumped right to Dragon Ball Z because Dragon Ball Z was awesome, and they were right. So yeah, that happened to all of us. You know, we all saw parts of Dragon Ball, and then we ended up watching Z onwards. So yeah, I think that was a misunderstanding on the video's part. All right, let's finish this up.
We can probably factor in King Kai's gravity to help with that, but that is still astounding. And of course, by the time Mecha Frieza and his father King Cold arrive on Earth and Trunks kills them, when Goku arrives and he wonders if either Vegeta or Piccolo were the ones that killed them, obviously neither of them had the strength, but the mere fact Goku wondered if it was Vegeta or Piccolo means that Piccolo had gotten even stronger after his fusion with Nail, or at least probably. And probably the best example of exponential growth was during the 3-year training arc before the androids arrived. Piccolo went from shaking in his boots, sensing Frieza and King Cold, and likely still being not as strong as Frieza's lower-powered final form, to when the androids arrived, he absolutely dominated a fight with Android 20, or Dr. Gero, which is almost a Super Saiyan level increase in strength. And to go back to Piccolo's power level increasing between Raditz and Vegeta and Nappa arriving, and also when Piccolo's power increased further from training later, you could make the argument that Ten Shinhan and Yamcha and Krillin had similar power level raises, but that factors into the fact that they were training under Kami, and Piccolo himself had no trainer except himself, but he still increased his power far more than
his trainer is his aura.
On his own, because apparently, or we can surmise at least, that Piccolo already had the Namekian skills and training methods that Kami gave to them. So apparently Namekian training is pivotal, and it appears that whenever Piccolo truly tries, he consistently grows the strongest, fastest when it comes to your standard training, not including transformations like finding new Super Saiyan forms. And considering Nail had a huge power level of 42,000, which for the time was insane, and even the average Peaceful Dragon Clan member had an above-average strength in the universe, it becomes clear to this scholar that Namekian training techniques have allowed them, and the Earthlings who have trained under them, to get the maximum amount of benefits from training in the least amount of time, at least in the original manga. So, in conclusion, the Namekian people are peaceful and rustic, and yet there is far more to them than meets the eye. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe if you want to, and I always welcome comments.
Most definitely. Give comment, likes, all that stuff. Actually, that's let's see where we wanna. Here we go. I'll put it right there. Yeah, that was a good video. It was a good video. You know, it was a very, very good video from Poohead189Z. Yeah, be sure to comment and subscribe to that to his channel. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I feel I'm still a little skittish about the whole Demon Clan thing. But he did a very good job. Really put on display the entire Namekian well, I wouldn't say mythos, but at the very least their stats, their culture, the livelihoods, and some of their history. Given the very limited amount of time we had with them, it's really impressive that much content was put in. That much content was put in with within at least the Namekian art from the Dragon Ball Z series. Chat says he dominated the fight with Dr. Geralt. Questionable. We may never know, but indeed the history. Even though there wasn't much information really put on display by Toriyama Sensei, just through with no exposition at all. Like really, there was no exposition. Only flashbacks primarily, but not exposition in a way of info dumping. Did a good chunk of information be provided for in the series through all the actions they made, from the fusion to seeing the different classes, like this demon class here, which I'm still questioning a little bit more on that one. But yeah, I mean, it's very bare bones, hands down. It's very bare bones. And we only had, and for the little time we had, we definitely got plenty enough to really enjoy their presence, to enjoy everything about them. And they were definitely fun. These guys were definitely a fun group to have around. And I would have liked it if we had more Namekian stories, more visits with Planet Namek and such, and get a little bit more deep dive into their culture and so on. All things considered, the power level, their power scaling is definitely fascinating, because it's like the only extent of training we've ever seen really was through Piccolo, and all he does is just aura farms on a mountain. He just stands there and stares at the universe and basically. And how you say their physical stuff is very well fleshed out. I guess since he was basing this on the manga, it was very well covered. Even though he threw in some scenes from the anime, and that's why I say it's good, because he stayed on one thing. He didn't jump back and forth between like anime and manga and put it all together, because he's going by manga clearly. I'm trying to think of what else to really convey on here, because Toriyama just basically used them primarily as a plot point, as a plot device. He didn't put too much emphasis on them. He kept the story focused entirely on Vegeta and Krillin until Goku arrived. Really mainly on Vegeta. Like, Vegeta was really practically the main character in the Namekian arc, because he was the one that was doing all the maneuvering, all the planning, the outwitting, and most of the fighting, like he took down most of Frieza's men, while Krillin and Gohan spent most of their time on the bus looking for the Dragon Balls, and Bulma, of course, just sitting there on a chair. That's basically where the bulk of the story was concentrated on, and the Namekians were just set pieces pretty much, and the fact that Poohead was able to, siphon out so much information on the Namekians, like the fact that clearly in the manga their feet were never drawn by Toriyama, which is hilarious. A little side point that was made there. They regenerate. They have very high constitutions and can take so much damage. They can even regenerate and use ki to help. The fact that they don't even eat food but drink primarily. Kick Chat is like, Vegeta took down most of Frieza's men. Also questionable. Oh my gosh, everything is questionable to Kick Chat today. Nevertheless, it's very difficult for me to assess because Toriyama Sensei really did legitimately wrote bare bones stuff on the characters. They were definitely just set pieces, not as elaborate as the Saiyans, like the last research video that I did, where we got a whole depth of information, specific characters in the lore, like Bardock, and so on. Here is a good example of a very good group. The characters were really good and really fun, but I would say that it was very disappointing that they were not put to the forefront, especially given that this is supposed to be their home world. We could have had a good proper team up. Like we didn't get much out of the Namekians in their own homeworld. We just either see them getting blown up or they're either getting blown up or just lying on the ground waiting for Piccolo to show up to fuse with him. I know I'm oversimplifying that, but nevertheless, the Namekians should be further explored. But with Toriyama Sensei having passed away, we're not sure if he had any type of notes, outlines, a Bible regarding the Namekians and what he wanted to do with them, and do more with them if he wanted to. They feel like a throwaway. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know if that was really a good idea, because they are tied to Piccolo. He tied them to Piccolo, in the Saiyan saga when the Saiyans showed up to fight, and he tied Piccolo up to the alien race, the Namekians, and having Piccolo flying around and just ore farming and then getting into fights, I feel like it's not enough. It's just, it really ruins the potential of having a great, even though he's three-dimensional by the fact that he takes care of Gohan and is the better father for Gohan compared to Goku. Not having a little bit more in depth for this race of beings that Piccolo fights alongside with Goku. I was about to say Gokhan. Kick Chat's gonna be like, ah! I feel like this was wasted potential. Honestly, this was a waste of potential with the Namekian race. They could have played a nice prominent role in the whole series alongside the Saiyans. If not partners or if not enemies, then rivals, then at least rivals with each other. And Goku's the type that likes to look for a good fight, And the Namekians with their warrior clan could have done that, you know. So that's why I feel very sad, because they were very a very well thought out concept, and they were treated like a concept, and that's sad, you know. It really feels it really does feel sad when you think about it, that we're not gonna ever get to see any chance of Toriyama Sensei come in, expand on the Namekian lore. It might end up falling into the hands of another writer, and hopefully, if that's the case, that writer will do Toriyama Sensei justice and really make the Namekians a definitely worthwhile group, more fleshed out and three-dimensional, like the Saiyans are. But then again, Dragon Ball has a whole lot of races that get cast aside and such. Oh man, so yeah, be sure to again check out Puhead 189 Z. He looks like he's got plenty of videos. Give him likes and comments and such. This was it was a good video. It looks like it's one of his first. Appears to be one of his first videos. It was 1 year ago. And he's got a whole lot of Dragon Ball lore going on here, so that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And he's still going at it. Yes, he is. Yep, he's still going at it in his channel. All right. So, thank you all for joining me for Dragon Ball research. And all right. Looks like this is, what time is it? Oh yeah, this is perfect timing. We got through all the research. Research is complete. Oh man. Let's see what Kick Chat had to say. He took down most of Frieza's men. Questionable. I would say 50% or less of the Frieza force was taken down by Vegeta. Not most of them. I'm teasing you, to chat. Vegeta took down half of the Frieza force at best. I think people don't take into account that the Goku was dead when Piccolo was training Gohan. True. Well, keep in mind. I'm not sure if it was in the Japanese. I know in the English language version, Piccolo had to tell off Goku for sending Gohan to fight Perfect Cell, and had to remind him that he's still a kid. And Goku was like, "You're right." No, because I'm on YouTube. I'll get hit with copyright if I put that video on. If I put that video out, I'm gonna get hit with copyright. Any copyrighted scenes? Sorry. But yeah, he almost got. Yeah, that's true. Chat. Goku almost got killed by Gohan in the hyperbolic time chamber. It's very true. Gohan was definitely powerful. Which again, it was another wasted character. I don't know why Toriyama Sensei did not stay on top with Gohan. Gohan should have already hit. Should have been Super Saiyan Blue at this point. Yes, Goku may have known that he was stronger to Cell, but knowing and doing are two completely different things. It really took how you say, I think it was when Goku died again to Cell that Gohan really tapped open that his inner potential and went and was able to achieve the Super Saiyan sweet spot, where he had all the power of the muscles, but none of the slow down drawbacks that came with it. Because if I remember correctly, Trunks was when Android got squashed by a Cell. I think I got ahead of you. What happened here? Yeah. Goku died after Gohan's Super Saiyan 2 transformation, but Trunks and Vegeta didn't. Wasn't it level 3? Where they were so bulked up and meaty that even though they had all the power behind their punches, the muscles made them slower, made them a little slower. And Gohan was able to achieve that, having all that power, but none of the slowness that came with it. And that was when he started catching up, and that's when he was able to start really thrashing Cell, Perfect Cell. And got one of the androids spit out. Android 16 spat out. '18 was spat out. Android 18 was the one that got spat out. Yeah. I keep getting their numbers confused. Curse that femboy in his hair. Waiting for the chat to go freaking out. The hot one. The hot one. Yes, the hot one. Oh, man. So that's the end of research night. We've come to the end of research night. Want to thank everyone over on YouTube. Thank you all for your likes and your views tonight. I hope you all had a great time with the research. I hope I was able to contribute in your quest to be good writers and better your writing skills if that's what you're looking for, or had fun watching me to react and second guessing myself and all that stuff. Be sure to comment, like, subscribe again here on the channel on YouTube. Now for the further thanks, big thanks to MNNCR over on the Twitch side for redeeming Japanese vocabulary and hanging out this week. Sky-san, thanks for the Japanese language practice on study night. Tsuyomi Bochi, thanks for the follow on Twitch. Elvis D. Presley, thanks for stopping by and saying hello and checking out my channel. Free Rare Pirate, great to see you again. Thanks for the lurk. Over on the Kick side, Handsome Chad, thanks for hanging out all week. It was real fun. Sabatsu9, thanks for the follow on Kick. Iodi11, thanks for the follow on Kick. Shy Guys Entertainment, thanks for the raid on Kick. And all the raiders that came with you, thank you so very much for hanging out. Clockwork Ghosty and Silver Angel Kitsune, thanks for hanging out. Master Splinter, thanks for stopping by and hanging out on the Kick side. For all the Twitch, Kick, and YouTube lurkers, thank you for watching, especially you work lurkers out there on all three platforms. I hope I helped pass your time at work today, and you all enjoyed. Everyone watching the VOD on YouTube, Twitch, and Kick, thank you all very much. And those who followed, like, subscribe, and everything in between, thank you all very much. Next week, let's see, next week, we're coming to the end of the month, the end of June. Study night on Twitch and Kick. Study night on Twitch and Kick. Do more cultural studies with Nico, Genki lessons, Genki practice, JLPT N5 studies, and more Clannad translations for visual novels. Tuesday, study night. I'm already done. Kick chat. I am done. That means everything is done. You'll have to watch the VOD. Well, yeah, you'll have to watch the VOD. Ow. Yes, total ow. How you say? Tuesday, more study night. More Japanese cultural studies with Nico. Light novel practicing writing Japanese light novels. And I'll be playing another arcade game, another arcade archive game, most likely in Japanese. Wednesday, anime. It's research night. Anime research. Gundam G-Quax from Old Country Bumpkin to Master Swordsman and City Hunter. Followed by Stellar Blade demo. I'm milking that game out. I want to milk that. I'm milking it. And then Thursday is lore research, Warhammer, Battletech Mech Warrior, and Skibidi Toilet. And maybe more. If I haven't finished Stellar Blade demo, then there'll be more Stellar Blade. If not, then I'll be playing another game. Also Thursday will be the Amazing Digital Circus 5. It's already been past the 7-day limit for me to wait for Glitch to get for the Glitch team to get their views. So I'll be researching that on Thursday on Twitch and Kick. Monday through Thursday, 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Look forward to seeing you all there. So, everybody, thank you all for joining me. You all have a great weekend. Kick Chat's like, Gundam G-Quax! G-Quax! I wish I had the guacamole. Thank you all for joining me, and I wish you all a good night, a buenas noches, and oyasumi na sai.